Football Friday Kickoff on Total Media Sports, presented by Slarks Collision Center.
Yeah, y'all. Welcome to Football Friday Night. Welcome. I'm Eric Landrum, Ethan Sargent alongside me here, live from the War Room, where we so often wrap up our Friday evenings. We're wrapping up a busy and action-packed Week 6. And Sarge, who's just walking back in to the studio here, stuck out what he could as we began the night over in SVC country. It is SV season, and I like Unioto. I like that. The SV season, Unioto picks up a huge win in what could ultimately decide the conference in the Scioto Valley Conference. 19-0. We start here. What'd you see, Sarge?
Well, obviously a lot of the plaudits for this season for Unioto so far has gone to their offense, right? With how well they've done offensively. They put up points in all sorts of ways. You know, Cody Braden's been fantastic. The receivers, which I'll get to in a second, have been really good. But tonight, the defense was the star of the show. Forced a couple of turnovers, couple of fourth down stops. Really, the turning point for me in this matchup came in the first quarter, which is a weird thing for me to say. Unioto and Zane Trace actually traded just awful first possession. Zane Trace or Unioto got the ball first, actually turned it over, and then Zane Trace, it was the other way around. Unioto got the ball first, went 3 and out, and actually went 4 and out, went for it on fourth down, didn't get it. Then Zane Trace fumbled it, and then Unioto punted it back eventually. It's still deadlocked at 0, and Zane Trace went on pretty easily their best drive of the game. Consistent runs. They took up almost 10 minutes of clock in game. Got around the outside, and I'll explain Zane Trace's issues in a second because they are quite obvious when you get to the brick and mortar of it. Sure. But they get it inside the red zone for Unioto. They have a 3rd and 3. Block in the back backs them up. They get it to 3rd and 13. They get about 5 yards. They line up a field goal. Decent kick. Doinks off the upright. Ooh. No good. So you missed the opportunity to take an early advantage. And then what does Unioto do on the ensuing possession? Drives all the way down the field. They themselves actually get into a 3rd and 18. And this was not the first time this happened tonight, or I should say it would not be the last time this would happen tonight, as Isaac Coy would find Jackson Zickafoose in the back corner of the end zone. And again, like I said, not the last time those two would hook up in that specific spot. As they, again, 3rd and long, they made that work. Zane Trace had a couple other slightly sustained drives, and this is the issue that I'll get to for them. The pass game is straight up non-existent. It is. They are not just like a run first and see, they are a run. There is no pass. Right. Like they genuinely cannot throw the ball. So when you take that away, like they did tonight, eventually Unioto, Zane Trace doesn't have a backup plan. And it's very costly, right? You have to have some sort of pass game, and they just didn't tonight. Later on in the third quarter, they went into the half up 7-0, did the Sherman Tanks, and in the third quarter, another good sustained drive. Unioto has relied mostly on the run this year behind Braden and some of those other backs. And they actually get into another fourth down situation, 4th down and 5, a little bit closer this time, about in the red zone, I think around the 15-yard line. And I got a great video of it. You can go watch it up on our Total Media. It's on our Football Friday Night Facebook page. Yes, I've got a couple good clips from this game. This one might be the best of the lot. You'll see if you go onto this clip and you watch it, 4th down and 5, perfectly executed little pump fake by Coy, and Zickafoose fakes it to perfection. He spins off the back of the defender, goes into the back corner of the end zone. Perfect ball from Coy. Easy touchdown for Zickafoose. And that kind of felt like the death blow because Zane Trace just could not sustain anything offensively, especially in the second half. And then Unioto, after I had left, padded a final score, 19-0. So again, really all credit has to go to the Sherman Tanks. You know, maybe not their flashiest offensive performance. Sure. I'm sure they'll want to tune things up a little bit. Zane Trace, I thought, played pretty well defensively, but on the other side, I thought Unioto's defense showed out. They did a fantastic job limiting that run game, forcing them to be basically zero-dimensional because that is a one-dimensional offense, and they just took that dimension away.
Yeah, and we kind of expected that could happen this evening, but we talked in the pregame broadcast about taking advantage of opportunities that we knew would be few and far between for the Pioneers. So the missed field goal,
huge.
That's huge, right?
It just can't happen. And it's not. I'm not blaming the kicker or anything like that.
No,
It's
of course.
just
it's execution. It just is what it is.
Exactly.
It just is what it is, and that means so much. Momentum swings in those games means so much. If you put points on the board early, it's kind of like seeing one go in basketball.
Yeah.
You build a little confidence from that. But you mentioned the Unioto defense, stingy defense. They've now played 7 games on the season. They've allowed 21 points.
That's pretty good.
That's not too bad, is it? I think this is now this was the 4th shutout of the year that this defense has pitched.
There's a couple really good defenses around here. That's not the first one.
No,
that has put up a number like that.
No, we've seen it all year long. Of course, we'll go ahead and get to the Athens Bulldogs. They're kind of in that boat as well, right? Yep. They proved to do exactly what they've been doing all season long. 53-0 win.
Well, I have to make a quick caveat about this game. I know for those of you listening on WATH will know this fact. I kind of thought, and from what I had heard from some people in and around the Athens program, was that Anthony Sutton was out this week. Well, spoiler alert, he wasn't. Only had the 3 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
So, again, it's huge for Athens to have a guy like that back in the backfield. Good news that he is at least healthy enough to play. I imagine he's probably playing through a bit of pain. He's playing through probably not 100%. Nobody is at this point in the season. But
that's true.
To have a guy like that in the backfield and to have a guy like that making key plays is so big for this team because that you want to talk about a truly multidimensional offense. You have that when you now have Daniel Heitland back in the saddle at quarterback and you have Sutton in the backfield. It kind of took them a little while to get going tonight. The offense didn't quite sprint out of the gates, but they turned it on in that second half and they took care of business against the Megs Marauders.
Yeah, they did. Again, Athens just looks scarier, right? Because we take a look, just peek back a week ago, what we saw with Nelsonville and Megs 25-8 final. Mm-hmm. We take and Athens just doubles the workload on the scoreboard tonight. Casual 53-0, and there's a little bit of a trend there we've seen early on in the night, as we so often do since the introduction of the running clock, is a lot of shutouts. We always see that a little bit early. Let's go ahead and talk about some final scores that we do have as we welcome you to our evening. I got Jackson over McLean 48-6.
Heard the band going as I was walking into the building.
Isn't that wild?
It is cool. I like that.
It's a nice way to wrap up our Fridays as we get back here in Jackson to the War Room. And
because that stadium's up on the hill, so you can hear it. That sound travels all the way down to the main street here in Jackson, right? With all the all the great restaurants. Rowdy's up on the corner. You've got all the obviously like Dairy Queen and all that, and we obviously come right past the Total Media offices back here behind the Burger King, behind the auto body shop back there, and. You can hear, I don't know how, I imagine that game must have gone final in the last 15, 20 minutes because the band was doing their end of game performance as they typically do there. But again, another good performance for Jackson, and they're starting to string them together, and that's something you don't want to see if you're a fan of another team in the FAC because again, that's big. That's kind of like Daddy coming home.
Yeah.
And look, full disclosure, they have truly been the champions and the leaders in the conference, and we've said it all season, really. They are in charge unless proven otherwise. And look, Trace is going to have their say. Maybe some other team might try to pull an upset. But for right now, Jackson's in charge.
Yeah, we'll get to Miami Trace here in just a second. But for Ironman fans, here's how about this turn of events? You go from thinking Bodie Wolford could potentially, be having some real significant a real significant injury. Let's just call it what it is for a moment.
Yeah.
And you go from that to at one point, as I had the radio on, we had the live stream, Dan and Pete on the call. Bodie Wolford trots into the end zone and waits on a defender to come to tackle him before trucking him into the end zone. Sorry if you're listening to us on 97.5 WVNU, the home of the Tigers from McLean, but we appreciate your ears. Bodie Wolford was alive and well in Alumni Stadium and doing great things for the Ironmen. Let's go ahead and mention that next opponent. Miami Trace.
It is next week. That's a big one.
That's a huge one for the Ironmen. That's going to be a classic football game.
I've got them playing Courthouse next week.
Sorry. Mixed up my weeks.
I was going to say I think because
week 9.
Because I think the tentative plan, we're thinking about it. We could be there. It's a possibility. It's definitely on our list of games in week number 9. That would be a little bit of a trek.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a beautiful stadium they got out there at Miami Trace. It is a little bit of a ways away, but it's a beautiful, beautiful area. They've got a good football team as well. We got the chance to watch them back in week number 1, when they took down Waverly, and obviously with them, it's that rushing attack, right? They took care of business tonight, 49-6 over Hillsborough. And I think the biggest thing that impresses me tonight is not necessarily the 49, because we know that they are capable of putting up 50 on any given night, but it's limiting that Hillsborough offense to just 6.
Yes.
Right? I mean, that Hillsborough offense, again, they're a little one-dimensional as well. Again, they're going to run the football a lot, not going to pass the ball a ton. They're going to keep things on the ground. But I mean, just as good as a lot of those fantastic offensive linemen are up front for the Panthers are on the offensive side of the ball, conversely, on the defensive side, they're just as good, right? They are knowing gap assignments on the offensive line is just as important when you flip over to the defensive line, because you know how to counter those gap assignments. You know where the holes are going to be, especially when you've seen the line, you've played a couple of series, you know, okay, they're going to go left, they're going to go right, etc. So being able to have that understanding is going to really help you. And that line, again, when you've got the muscle and the power that line has on the offensive side, it translates. And clearly we saw it tonight. And again, 2 weeks from now, I mean, that game looks like the FAC Super Bowl. Not to write off any of these teams, and we still got plenty of finals that we're waiting on. But right now, again, those two seem, it was kind of like last year. And again, who knows what happens in that game?
Sure.
Should Adam Guthrie have stayed healthy?
Yeah.
But again, it's all on the table right now. And again, like I said a second ago, I think it's Jackson until proven otherwise. But Miami Trace is going to give them a real run in a couple weeks.
They are, and I think Miami Trace is a little more versatile in their defense this year as well.
Yes.
And that's a key when you're defending Jackson, because Andy Hall likes to do a lot of different things.
Get tricky.
He's going to give you different formations. He's going to give you different run schemes, and obviously he's going to work off the pass.
Well, Miami Trace's defensive coordinator is Corey Dye, who used to be at Paint Valley. He was Paint Valley's head coach. They did such a fantastic job over the last couple of years. And just, I mean, look, not to, rain on a parade or anything, but Paint Valley's 0-6. I think they're well on their way to going 0-7 with a loss to Huntington tonight. You could tell how much of a program setter that Dye was, and being able to bring in a guy like that to be your defensive coordinator is so huge. Like we talked about that at Southeastern early in the year with having Ron Hinton on the staff.
Yes.
Like having experience and knowledge on your staff is just going to make you better, and especially when you have a team like Trace that clearly is, they've got the players, they got the talent to compete with Jackson, they got the talent to compete with a lot of teams in this area.
Yeah.
And when you have a coaching staff that can help harness the best of that talent, you're going to have success. There's a reason that they're 7-0.
Right. Yeah.
It's not a fluke.
Not a fluke. And these teams are only getting better as the year goes on. A couple of finals from around the area. We'll keep it moving here. Nelsonville, York, 55-0 over Wellston.
Yeah, backups were in early in this game.
Yeah. We'll keep the trend of shutouts going here for just a minute. We mentioned Athens over Meigs, 53-0. Trimble gets a 44-0 win over Belpre. Unioto defeats Zane Trace 19-0. We mentioned that one. Piketon over Southeastern 35-0. Huntington did close it out over Paint Valley. Paint Valley does fall to 0-7. Huntington gets a win 36-0. The streak ends at 19. Portsmouth Notre Dame gets it done over Green in shutout fashion. 70-0. 70-0 in that one. And that ends the shutouts, but a couple of other scores from around the area. Waverly gets its first win in Tigertown, defeating Minford. Congratulations to the
big
Waverly
shout out to
Tigers.
that program.
Definitely congratulations to the Waverly Tigers for getting their first win. Definitely earned in Tigertown tonight. Beaver Eastern over Sims Valley. How about 40-6?
Ain't going nowhere.
Wow.
Ain't going nowhere. And so I had a couple, I can give some perspective on this game because I had a couple of journalism buddies that work for Gridiron Glory that had boots on the ground that were at this matchup. From what I was told and what I heard, it was up front. It was a domination up front on both sides of the ball. You talked about it. You might have nailed it, I think, with the physicality aspect, right? Yeah. And it really seems like Beaver Eastern, and this is a direct quote. I'm actually going to pull out my phone. I'm going to read a direct quote that I got from, again, I'll even shout this guy out, Ty Carpenter. He does a great job with the SOC over on Gridiron Glory. He shares a last name with Bronx Carpenter, and no actual relation, of course. I'm going to pull up this exact, I don't know if I can say this exact quote, but he said, Bronx is in trouble every play. This pass rush is ridiculous. Center getting beat instantly. I think that kind of sums it up, doesn't it?
Tells you, doesn't it?
And again, look, we knew, right? You knew that this line was legit. We've seen it all year long, right? They've got umpteen amounts of talent led by Brewer Tomlinson on that inside, right? They're coached by a Tomlinson, not just at head coach, but their offensive line coach, right? They are mean, and I mean that in the best way possible. They're mean, right? And then Eric Manley on the other side, another great performance, couple of rushing touchdowns, couple of passing touchdowns for him. So, again, the thing about Beaver Eastern is it's very similar to what we just discussed with Jackson, right, until proven otherwise.
Yep.
And, again, this week, a lot of people, Sims Valley might have been the trendy pick. A lot of people might have said, well, they're there. They might get it done. Nope. Beaver Eastern just goes on the road and slams the door emphatically, 40-6. Now, it sets up another big one next week.
Sure does.
Portsmouth Notre Dame versus Beaver Eastern. We may well be there. It is a big-time matchup between two teams that are 7-0, which is kind of rare at this point in the year to get two teams that are unbeaten. And it is about as good as it gets in small school football in Southeast Ohio. Two teams that, look, don't discount this factor as well. These two teams could see each other later in the season again.
It's possible.
They're both in 28.
It's possible.
So that we could be seeing a playoff preview. It could well determine where the conference crown goes. It's a huge matchup in week number 8. And in a week that, full disclosure, isn't as star-studded as some of the weeks we've had in the past, it is a fantastic main course to have that be the showpiece matchup potentially in week number 8.
And if fans like points, then they're in for one.
Expect a whole lot. Expect a boatload in that game.
They're in for one next week. I can't wait to talk to defensive coordinator Daniel Stewart for the Eagles, who knew he had his work cut out for him against that passing offense of Sims Valley. But I think that his whole team was up to the task, and they wanted to play, like you said, physical football tonight in that game. And it's just going to be a great football game in a week. It's going to be a phenomenal game at one of the most historic venues in Southern Ohio. Spartan
really
Municipal.
is cool. Yeah, where the Detroit, you mentioned this earlier, where the Detroit Lions first started their play. Back when they were the Portsmouth Spartans, I believe.
Spartans. Yeah.
So an interesting score. This has nothing to do with Southeast Ohio. Moeller falls to Elder. Big game in Cincinnati. This game was actually the Elders got it's called the Bowl. They got a 10,000 seater stadium. This game sold out. Rare, very rare in high school football. You get a sellout in a non-playoff game. Elder wins at 24-16. That's a major win for the Panthers and that program out in the Cincinnati area. I did see, and this one's worth keeping an eye on, Galley Academy's up on Rock Hill late.
Yes.
It's a 1-point game right now in the fourth quarter, 21-20. The Blue Devils trying to pull what would be a huge upset on the road, and again, just throw yet another monkey wrench into the OVC just to continue to foster chaos in a conference that really doesn't need much more chaos, but why not? Right? Why not? They looking to try and pull a big one. We don't have a final on that one yet. I know there's a bunch of other games that are still coming through. We still are waiting on plenty of finals, so you're going to want to stick with us as we sift through and wait for everything to come through. Again, it's a long evening here. We've got plenty of time, and we're going to wait for all these scores to come through. We're going to break them all down, talk a little playoffs when they come through. We'll hopefully have some other voices on the show a little bit later on as we work the phone lines, as we try to do on these Friday nights and even into some Saturday mornings here on Football Friday nights. I was thinking about this. I wonder if, like on that Friday of week 10, right, we do like a crazy show. We do something wild. I'd be down to do something wild.
I like wild. Wild works for me on Friday nights.
Fridays usually get wild. Why not make it wilder with us? Yeah. I love it. Well, I know we do have some cool things coming for that Friday. I've talked to a couple people about it. I do have a shout out. This is a good score. How about Marietta picking up their first win?
Did they get it?
14-0 over Williamstown. They hadn't beaten a while too. So good credit to Marietta. They get their first win of the season. First win over Williamstown. I think it's 12 years last time they beat Williamstown. So good credit to the Tigers getting the win. That fills out my TSL. With the exception of Point Pleasant, who are down pretty big to Nitro.
Sure.
We don't have a final just yet, but you can confirm that Nitro's more likely not going to win that game. We can round out the rest of the Twin State League. Yeah. Warren loses a heartbreaker to John Marshall, 27-30, the final score in that one, and Fort Fry just broke the hearts of Greenbrier West, 55-0. No question marks there for the Cadets as they continue their march and try to keep their season moving. I'm just trying to scroll through here, seeing if we've got anything else major to discuss at the moment. Again, we're kind of in that awkward point of the night. We're waiting for stations to come in. We're waiting for scores to come through. So we're just kind of hanging out here in the war room. We've got a couple of our streams up now, waiting on some of these ones to go final as we, again, I mean, it's about 9:48. It should be in the next 30 or so minutes. We have most every final. I've got a couple interesting ones from around the state. How about Tenora upsetting, or excuse me, not that one. This one was I wanted to. How about Olentangy Liberty, who obviously were the state champions last year in Division One. I believe they're only 1-5 this year. They took down Upper Arlington 16-6. That's a big upset in the Columbus area.
Wow.
Tad Steinberg just sent me a very good point. That Warren loss really hurts Athens because once again, those L2 points, they're not getting help, and it's not, again, they can't really do anything about it. They're just not getting the help from teams around them. So the Bulldogs, I think for them truly, it may well come down to that game against Nelsonville York. They're more likely than not, they're going to roll into that game 9-0. I'd be stunned if they weren't. If they're not, they probably don't make the playoffs.
Yes.
8-2, they are out. I'm confident in saying.
Oh,
that.
yes.
9-1, they have a chance to be out, which is wild. It's not. There's nothing they can really do about it. We do have another final. Portsmouth West takes down Valley 44-20. Big win for the Senators.
I've got details from this game.
Let's hear them.
Matt Payton down in Portsmouth, who was on the call with Chuck Glenn.
And it is the Hornets who avoid the upset, but it wasn't easy. They took down the Jaguars 40-26. This game was close for a while. I was keeping an eye on it. I think KIPP had the lead briefly. Colgrove took it back, and then they were able to get the job done. And then Portsmouth get a little bit of revenge. This one will taste sweet in the Coliseum tonight, even though they were out in Proctorville. They're going to be partying in Portsmouth tonight. Actually, in fact, all three Portsmouth teams won. How about West, Notre Dame, and the regular Portsmouth squad? They all take down victories. 48-26, the final between the Dragons and the Trojans. Trojans get the win, and that one's huge in the OVC and in the playoff race. That may well condemn Fairland in terms of trying to make the postseason. I don't know. Even if they win out, I'm not sure if I see a route. It's going to be tough for them to try and get into that. I know we don't have a final for it yet. I know Wheelersburg were up a mile on Oak Hill. They were up, I think, like 49-0 at halftime. I don't imagine Rucker or any of those other big stars for them would have played much really at all in this game, if not the second half. I got a couple more that just rolled through. Alexander took down River Valley 26-6.
Yep.
That's a final. Good win for the Spartans. Bounce back for them. I think I had one more. I'm not sure if I did. If you've got one,
I don't have a final, but Chillicothe in a dogfight with Washington.
They are. That game's tight. I would love to see the outcome, the finish of that one. I know I have a couple people that are at this game at the moment, but it's not there. I do know that Moeller lost today to Elder. I said that already.
Yes.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
That's all right.
But we got that in. I really want to see the Gallia result and that result that we just mentioned with Chillicothe. And I think the winner of that game will just set themselves up to kind of play third fiddle a little bit.
Yeah.
And if Trace and or Jackson slip up, I think either that team, the winner of that game, could be right there and could be in position to be in position, as I like to say. So we'll have to see. Again, I know that game, it's very tight. It was a one-score game. It was a 2-point game at one point even.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see who comes out on top in that one.
It's been an action-packed night.
It has.
In the
it never disappoints. It really does.
It really doesn't. It really doesn't. How about some other scores from up around South Central Ohio? Let's peek north for just a moment. Circleville losing to Hamilton Township, 49-35. Bloom Carroll up over Logan Elm, 42-7. The last we saw. Two teams that are really piecing some things together. And then I saw a Clear Creek score as well as I pull it up. 35-7. Amanda Clear Creek takes down the Lucas Cubs tonight. So looking strong in South Central Ohio as well. We talk about New Lex once in a while. They're dominant, man.
They're really good.
They're very good.
It's funny. I'm lucky enough to have a girlfriend who, while she is mostly a meteorologist, she tends to dabble in some high school football. She was actually at this game. She texted me. I'm gonna say another direct quote. She texted me 48-7 ugly.
Oof.
So yeah, you can imagine what this game looked like. Again, Maysville, very much a football team in transition, but the New Lex Panthers are for real. They're going to be a tough team to eliminate in Region 20, or excuse me, in Region 15. They're up in the topmost part of that region. In Division 4, I should say. But again, I think they're one of only 2 unbeatens left in that region, I think.
Yeah.
So going to be very interesting to see who comes out on top. And again, when we get later on in the night, when we get more into the 11 o'clock hour, we'll probably take a look and see how many of those have been entered. And again, with 3 weeks to go now, it starts to get interesting in terms of not just scoreboard watching for yourself, but you're watching your opponents, right?
Yeah, you have
like we just mentioned with Athens and those level 2 points. I mean, they're essential. In every sense of the word, they're essential. And they're 1,000% necessary. Athens could miss the playoffs at 9-1. And it's not because they haven't done their job, but it's because the teams around them haven't done their job. So we've got a live stream up here now of this Chillicothe courthouse game. It's a little slow. I'm not quite sure if it's going to work, but we're going to see if we can get some information out of that.
We'll keep an eye on some things.
Yeah, I know I did have my ears peeled on C103 for a little bit there. But again, as we continue to get scores, we'll bring them to you. I know we got one game coming tomorrow, the Ironton Fighting Tigers. They're back in action over on WIRO. I think they're with us right now. They're listening to Football Friday night. So welcome in, Tiger Nation. I know y'all got a big one tomorrow. On the road, a little bit of a road trip up to Uniontown to take on that squad. And I know that there will be a little bit of a fire in that Ironton squad this week after what happened last week out in Wheelersburg. I know they'll want to get that one back. So they're going to try to do that and then some against a Uniontown squad that's 2-4 in 2025. So we'll have to see.
What a beautiful thing about playing in the same region. You don't have to wait a year possibly to take
No, you can get it all back.
Again.
You can get it all back in just a few weeks.
Yeah.
Right? You can get it all back in just a few weeks.
Yeah,
that is a huge deal, right? That is a big deal.
Absolutely, yeah. And as the other scores continue to pour in from around the area, again, we're going to be looking at 26-ish, I guess, by the time we cover it all, TSL included, conference games. So by the time it's all said and done, by the time midnight rolls around, if your ears are still with us, we'll be talking about where conference standings are, and depending on what we have accessible in the playoffs world, well, we'll talk about those things as well. But again, just another huge Week 7 from across the area, and as I'm looking at this, I'm kind of trying to find a team that's really, really standing out to me. But Sarge, I think this was very much business as usual across the 7-4.
Yeah, no super wild upsets. I mean, we got a couple of games that are still very much in transition here, and it seems like. I'm trying to keep an eye. Chillicothe's right now, they're up 34-29 with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The last clip we just got is Truett McGlone making a big play for the Cavs. The linebacker, number 55, making a play. It's set up about 4th and I want to say about 5 on this clip from Coulter Bass on Twitter. I think he works for Darren Jr.'s recruiting service out there, who they work a lot with a bunch of players on Chillicothe, namely Carte Ligon is part of that network as well. A couple of those big linemen that help block for Carte. So, again, we'll see how that goes. There's the final for Wheelersburg that just came through.
Yeah.
Berg, 52-8. I don't imagine many of the starters. I believe this game was 49-0 at halftime, if that kind of tells you where this one went. Probably imagine a lot of those starters not playing too much in the second half of this game. Berg does what they need to do, take care of business on the road in the conference. And, again, we're still waiting on a bunch of scores. Right now what I don't have is South Point Chesapeake still in action. South Gallia was up big on Souderville East. I don't know what the final is. Adena and Westfall, I do believe the Mustangs were up, but I don't know by how much.
28-14, Westfall with the
That's
victory.
done. Bang, there we go. Nice and easy. I think Wahama was up, I believe. The last I saw was 27-10. Wahama was up on Eastern. I don't know if that's final yet, but they were up by 17. Waterford was up a lot on Southern. I don't know what the final score was again, but it was a lot to a little. I actually haven't seen anything about Federal Hockey Manchester. I know we've got WAGX on here from out in that Manchester area.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen anything about that game just yet. Again, like I mentioned earlier, Nitro was up huge over Point Pleasant, but we don't have a final score there just yet. Northwest, the last I saw, was up 36-22 on Vinton County. We don't have a final in that one yet either, but I would imagine Northwest would have pulled that one out. We're still waiting. I'm waiting with bated breath on this final between Gallia Academy and Rock Hill. I'm very interested in that one.
Per the engineers, 59 seconds to go in that one over on WBYG. Take a listen if you want some ears into some
Tune
football.
it over.
But
we'll be here all night. Go check out that game.
Per Rick Ash, though, the legendary Rick Ash, he is giving us a final on that one, Wahama 27, Eastern 10. So that was the final score. Thank you, Rick. Another score from a little further along down the river, Coalgrove did go final, 40-26 over KIPP Columbus. They survived what I thought could be a potential upset, and I'm happy because that makes they trailed at halftime.
Yeah, that's right.
They were down
at the half. They were down at the half.
Yeah, they were down at the half, and Coalgrove able to put it together. And I think that's awesome because this is a great night for the OVC. I think that this is a little bit of a shakeup in the OVC between Coalgrove keeping it moving and Fairland falling to Portsmouth and Gallia Academy possibly hanging on to beat Rock Hill. That's
how about
awesome.
Next week? How about Portsmouth taking on Rock Hill? I mean, all of a sudden, that game sets up to be monstrous, especially if Rock Hill does end up dropping this game to Gallia Academy. All of a sudden, the road for Portsmouth to win the OVC is wide open, even for a team that looked dead and buried just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So that could be a huge one. I believe Coalgrove is back in action next week as well, back in the conference. They had to dive out of the conference here real quick. They're taking on South Point next week. But it's a huge opportunity for a lot of these schools to get on the board and to get these big-time matchups, and it's going to be really interesting to see. Again, like I said, this week coming up isn't like it's not a banner week. I don't think anybody around here will, if they're trying to tell you it is, look, I got news for you, it's not. But there are some very important games, including that Beaver Eastern Notre Dame game, which we are very, very much intrigued about, and will likely be our game of the week, barring some things going on. So, again, the interesting thing as well, and this is going over to the FAC, Jackson's got matchups back-to-back on the road, back-to-back Courthouse, back-to-back Trace.
That's it.
Long trips, tough opponents, and then they host Chillicothe. It does not get easy for Jackson. They close out the year with probably their 3 toughest opponents in the FAC.
Yeah.
So they're going to be sharpened. If they come out of this looking great, then they're going to be in business, as we see one of the legends roll right by us right there, one of the legendary trio.
Dan and Pete, man.
Dan and Pete.
I mean, Dan Morrow coming in with his goodies for the night.
And
Pete
right
Wilson not far behind him, celebrating victory. He's in a good mood tonight.
He is in a good mood. That's a nice wave.
Nice
smile.
Big old wave from Pete Wilson.
He'll be here all night. One of the hardest working dudes around here. That guy.
Man, I mean, he's here when the lights are on. He's here when the lights are off. It don't make no difference.
It does not.
It doesn't make any difference at all. These guys, they do. They work their butts off, and they sure paint a nice picture on Friday nights. Make no mistake about it. I like your point though. It is going to be Jackson's 3 toughest games of the year in the FAC. But, I mean, if you're a Jackson fan, based on what you were dealing with midseason with Bodie Wolford and the growing pains of the new defense, it's relatively inexperienced. They're getting new reps. This is kind of the way the schedule kind of falls like a perfect order for the Jackson Ironmen. The way that everything shapes up. So it'll be interesting to see how things transpire. We've said it all season long. I'll say it one more time here. It's Jackson until proven otherwise in that conference.
I'm in full agreement there.
Yeah.
It's just not, as we see, I think Chillicothe might just have won it. It's pretty, well, there is a flag. I mean, this stream is struggling a little bit, and I know we have decent internet in here, so I might just be some internet issues out in the courthouse area, but again, Chillicothe's close to closing it out. They're up by 5 right now, 34-29.
Yeah.
They lead it over Washington Courthouse. Again, we talked about the offensive weapons in this game, and they were real, right? We talked about it. It is the weapons showed up. I know Carte had a couple of big touchdowns in this game. A couple of those big playmakers for Washington Courthouse had a couple of long scores.
Yeah.
The big thing, and this may cost Chillicothe, they have a major issue at the kicking position.
Guy is down 23-21.
Oh, wow. So I imagine Rock Hill must have kicked field goal.
must have
kicked the field goal to go up 23-21. But Galley's got the ball on the 50. So keep an eye on that.
Keep an eye.
So we got 2 great finishes here coming down to the wire. I know as we continue to pick up stations here and we continue to push through, we got a couple of banner finishes that I'm really trying to work on finding. Again, as we work in the war room, we're trying to get just as much as you guys are. We're trying to get information, and
we do the work so you don't have to.
Exactly.
You just stay here.
You just stay here, and then, if you miss it, we'll just post the scores.
Yeah.
Get them up for you.
We'll have you squared away by midnight. Make no mistake about it.
Sometimes even earlier than that.
Yeah.
So
that's that Rock Hill Guy Academy game. That one in Chillicothe until we hear for sure that the Cavaliers have hung on.
Yeah, there's a flag down on the field right now at this game.
I mean,
again, I don't think
those are the ones right now.
Let's see if I can.
Those are the ones. Those are the ones.
I'm going to see if we can get this Chillicothe game on the telephone because I'm not sure if the stream's working too well on one of our War Room televisions. Nothing against the War Room TVs because we've seen some great finishes on these TVs. But,
of course.
Let's see if we can't get this stream up and see what's going on in this Chillicothe matchup against Washington Courthouse. We got 253 people in the stream right now. Looks like there's a player down right now for the Blue Lions, it looks like. Still in the fourth quarter. I mean, I don't see any lines just yet. I mean, all right, it looks like based on the line to go, Washington Courthouse has got a first down on the Chillicothe 18, 17-yard line. It's pretty close to the end zone, I won't lie. But it seems like Courthouse is going to have a shot here. I don't have a clock. I don't have a time in this game.
Guy Academy's got the ball at the 10-yard line as well. So Dalton Gerald's got a margin down there. Yeah, two huge
big finishes. I've got this Chillicothe game up here, and I do have half an ear on C103. If you got the Total Media app open right now and you're on one of our other stations that's on Friday night, go flip it over to C103 or to WBYG. Either one of those games are getting great finishes. Well, it looks like Chillicothe got a stop. It looks like Chillicothe got a stop. They're going to win that game. They just need it out. They just need it out. That's going to do it. 34-29. It looks like Chillicothe's going to get the win on the road. How about TJ Carper? What a job he has done for that program to turn them around this quickly and to be this competitive this quickly. I think is what is really what's really the most impressive about that is just the job that he has done at making that team instant competitors.
Yeah.
Instant competitors. That's back-to-back weeks they've been on the road, and they battled. They battled against a very good Miami Trace team that may well win the conference this year. They still got Jackson. Jackson cannot overlook that game. And now they beat a Washington Courthouse team that came in at 4-2.
Yeah.
Right? It was, they've got a really good sophomore quarterback who's played at a high level. And, I mean, yeah, this stream's a solid 3 minutes behind, so we're giving up on that. But, again, it's just a huge credit to Coach Carper and what he's done.
really nice credit to Coach Carper. And you mentioned, I don't think Jackson's going to be overlooking anybody. They can't because we're talking playoffs, right? So, I mean, nobody's overlooking anybody at this point, I don't think, in that conference. But Chillicothe is certainly much more constructed for business in the FAC than they were last year. We've seen that, like I said, a nice jump all the way around in that conference. But it's going to make for such a fun 3 weeks of football in that conference. There's no question about it. 2 seconds left. Gallia Academy has the ball, and
it's gonna be one last play,
and they're going to have at the 20-yard line.
So they must have
backed
maybe
up
a
somewhere
hold,
along the way.
like that.
Yeah. So we'll see how the Gallia Academy Blue Devils in the game.
It's a heave.
It's a heave or a kick one. So I don't know if they're going to run the
could
kicking.
They kick?
Yeah,
could
I don't
they
know if
kick?
Gallia Academy's been known for having some decent kicking in the past.
Kick?
I don't know what their kicking situation is, but we're about to find out.
Oh, there it is. Gallia wins.
Gallia wins with the field goal.
24-23
on the road.
There's the stunner.
Wow.
It's never going to be easy in the OVC.
Wow.
Oh, hang on. Hang on.
Uh-oh.
We just got to hold that. The engineers are doing a great job of keeping us updated here because we can't hear and do all this at the same time. The engineers, there could be a flag on the field. There could be something going So we're going to wait. It's not quite final yet. Rocco's up 23-21, so it's not a overtime. This is a win or don't win. This is a win or a loss. We're waiting on bated breath here.
Yes.
Oh, it seems like it might have just been missed.
Oh, no. I
mean, we might have to go watch a replay of this. Maybe there's a stream up somewhere. But it seems like they may have just missed.
WBYG. If we had an ear to lend, that's where we would be. Right. I 100% would be listening. On 99.5 Pure Rock, WBYG. But,
missed it to the right.
Did miss.
Wow.
Rock Hill.
Hill escapes.
Rock Hill survives. That is
it's a tough one for Gerald and company.
That is a tough one, but Gallia Academy, I don't care. You are on the map.
Mm-hmm. What a night. It's been a great bounce back year for them.
Wow.
Really good job.
I mean that's right up there with what Carper has. I mean, it's a 1-win Gallia Academy team from a year ago.
Uh-huh.
I mean, 1 win, and they're now competing with top of their conference. I mean, shout out to the Gallia Academy Blue Devils, man. I mean, I don't really have much else. They're getting
yeah.
They're playing tough football. The ball doesn't always go your way. The kick doesn't always go your way.
It just goes to show you how wide open the OVC is. I mean, you've got so many different scenarios and teams that can compete now, and there is just very little wiggle room in a conference that already doesn't have a lot of wiggle room, and now you add all this chaos in. It's a very tough thing to predict. And now all of a sudden, you miss it by a hair, just kind of like Waterford a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
It's the same sort of deal.
Yeah. Wow. Gallia Academy. Unfortunately, not able to pull it off. Rock Hill surviving 23-21. That is the final. There were some issues with the clock late, we understand, but that is the final in that ball game. So again, Gallia Academy almost back. Dalton Gerald has the program moving the right direction. We'll go ahead as we await WBYG, the last station to join us on a wonderful Week 7, an action-packed Week 7. Let's go ahead and give you a list of the finals that we have from around the area, and we'll take it from there. I got Jackson over McLean, 48-6. Miami Trace over Hillsboro, 49-6. Chillicothe, Washington Courthouse did go final, we said?
Yes, 34-29.
34-29. Chillicothe.
Coach Carper.
34-29. Chillicothe gets it done. So nice win for the Cavaliers. Nelsonville, York, 55-0 over Wellston. Alexander gets a nice win over River Valley, 26-6. Athens shuts out Meigs, 53-0 at Joe Burrow Stadium. Trimble on the road gets a win over Belpre, 44-0. Also on the road, Wheelersburg, 52-8 over over Oak Hill. Waverly over Minford, 41-7. Portsmouth West gets a 44-20 victory over Valley on the back of Braden Adkins. 19-0 shutout victory from Unioto, where we started our night, over Zane Trace. Also shutout in the SVC, where Paint Valley 36-0 by Huntington, and also Piketon shuts out Southeastern 35-0. Westfall over Adena 28-14. Gaia Academy, we just mentioned, losing tough one, 23-21 in Pedro to Rock Hill. Portsmouth on the road gets a 48-26 victory over Fairland. Portsmouth Notre Dame blanks Green, biggest slate of the night if I'll have to guess. Biggest spread, that is 70-0 over the Bobcats. Beaver Eastern, that is, picks up a home victory over Sims Valley in the Battle of 6 and O's, 40-6. The Eagles get it done, and Coalgrove hangs on to beat KIPP Columbus after trailing at the half, 40-26, the final in that game. And that's what we've got from around the area at this time. Again, a wild game. We're still listening and waiting for our friends over on WBYG, and we'll get into the meat and potatoes of our show. But it has been a busy Week 7 from around the area. And here before long, we'll have conferences and playoffs and things like that to chit-chat with you about. But for now, those are the finals we have.
Absolutely. And we got some, again, I think in terms of impressive and, underwhelming performances, impressive, because there have been the difference between like a 52-0, spanking, for example, for some of these teams. I guess just that was going to be the result 100 times out of 100 in some of these games. Nelsonville York over Wellston, for example. There's just not a lot that the Rockets would have been able to do tonight to slow that down. I'll actually give you a sequence that happened in this game.
Please.
Here is a sequence, and this is from one of my good buddies who was at this game. First play for scrimmage for Nelsonville York, touchdown. Wellston gets the ball back, goes for it on 4th down on their own 30. They don't get it. Nelsonville York scores 2 plays later. Wellston gets the ball back, fumbles on a jet sweep. Nelsonville York scores on the next play. Wellston fumbles the next kickoff and then goes 3 and out. Nelsonville York blocks the punt and scores on the next play. 28-0 before he can even blink.
Wow.
So it's just a tough breakdown, and I know they're still down Crabtree, and they've had a lot of things not go their way, but just a pretty bleak couple of weeks for the Rockets, especially considering what's gone on for them in the last couple of years. Just kind of feels like maybe the talent's a little bit down in 2025, and they just don't have quite the roster that they're looking for this season.
Yeah, they don't. It's that's looking ahead towards the future, I think, for Wellston Rockets fans. I don't know what much left there is to salvage on this season. I think that the telling tale for the Rockets was the unfortunate performance at home last week at C.H. Jones Field. You don't come away with any points. You lose a 3-0 football game to the River Valley Raiders. And now for Rockets fans, I can tell you one thing. They're looking at Week 10 themselves in Benton County, the backyard brawl, they call it. They don't care about nothing other than that football game at this point in the year. And for Wellston, I think it's actually kind of possibly a winnable football game. Who knows what Benton County could encounter between now and then. I favor Benton County in that matchup, make no mistake about it. But, when you got something to play for Week 10, headed into basketball season in these small schools, it's something to hang your hat on for a year. So at this point, I think it's what the Rockets are looking at.
I'll point to college football, and I'll point to another backyard brawl as a perfect example. West Virginia loses at Peden Stadium a few weeks ago to the Ohio Bobcats, and your program's at a low point, right?
Yeah.
You're not feeling great. Year one of Rich Rod, you lose your star running back, Jaheim White, for the season, and your offense looks close to inept, right? The next week, they play the backyard brawl in a rabid Morgantown against the Pitt Panthers, which is, again, at the end of the day, West Virginia kind of knew that they weren't going to be competitive in the Big 12. They've gotten beat to shreds in a couple of those games.
Right.
But they beat Pitt. They've got a different expression for how they beat Pitt that I can't say on the radio, and I'm not going to.
We can't?
But
yeah, it's still.
I know,
yeah.
They talk about eating.
It's not 1 a.m. yet.
Yeah, they talk about eating fecal matter or something like that. They don't really like. Kind of rhymes with that Yankee pitcher last name, like we talked about.
Oh, the one you had a lot of guts for saying that one. Okay,
again, the thing, West Virginia could go 1-11, and I think fans would still somewhat be happy because they beat Pitt.
That's it.
And,
I believe that
too. And it's the same thing with this game. It's another backyard brawl.
It's another one,
right? And it's Vinton County Wellston. Look, these two teams might come into this game with like 2 combined wins.
That's possible.
And it goes for both fan bases too. Like Vinton County, if they get the win, they'll be like, okay, we got to win against the team we dislike the most.
We finished with more wins than Wellston.
Exactly.
We finished with more wins than Vinton County. That's a real thing for sure.
It is. It might seem trivial, but it is true.
We got to get to our first break of the young night, but we're going to be with you until midnight, so make sure you keep it right here. When we return, more scores, conference standings, standout performances. We may have a call-in or two join us from around the area. We got some things lined up. Keep it right here. You're listening to Football Friday Nights, presented by Slarks Automotive Services.
Need a ride to your medical appointment? Medication ready for pickup? A.T. Hoy, LLC has you covered. We provide fast, safe, reliable transportation for medical recipients in Hocking, Ross, and Benton counties. And we're proud to announce we're serving Benton County veterans. We thank you for your service. A.T. Hoy is always looking to expand our crew. Apply online or drop anchor at one of these 3 locations today and grab an application. Call 740-596-0536 today to see if you qualify for free transportation. A.T. Hoy, charting a course for care.
Looking for a bank that puts you first? At Farmers Bank, they've been helping neighbors grow for over a century with personal checking and savings, business loans, convenient online and mobile banking, and customer service that treats you like family. Whether you're planting roots or planning your future, Farmers Bank will help every step of the way. Stop by one of their local branches today and experience why Farmers Bank is your hometown bank since 1904. Member FDIC. Farmers Bank, growing with you.
Trying to find a durable new look for your retail office, house, garage, or new barn dominium? Higgins Steel Roofing and Siding has added 2 new profiles within the past year that would make great options. A heavier 26-gauge metal board and batten with several colors to choose from adds a fresh new look to any project regardless of size. Or come in and check out our new options for standing seam. If it's steel roofing and siding, it comes from Higgins. Located in Hillsboro and Jackson, Higgins Steel Roofing and Siding. Family owned and operated since 1958.
Hey, it's me. Well, you from the future. Let's talk budget. Gas prices are going up. You blew your budget buying groceries, and here comes your bill for car insurance. Now, that's one bill you can control when you choose Erie Insurance.
Do your future self a favor and ask about Rate Lock from Erie.
The only thing going down is the waistline on our jeans.
Your Erie agent is McFadden Insurance. Get a quote today at mcfadden-insurance.com.
Go to erieinsurance.com for company licensure and product details.
The Uptown Clinic powered by Holzer is located at 5 North Court Street in Athens. Nurse practitioner Amy Ward and staff provide walk-in urgent care services, on-site lab testing, primary care services, and much more. If you're on your way to work, class, or back home and need care, stop by the Holzer Uptown Clinic, conveniently located for Ohio University students, staff, and families. That's the Holzer Uptown Clinic at 5 North Court Street in Athens.
Craving good eats in Nelsonville? Head over to Nick's Station, home of Footlong Friday, where the footlongs bring the flavor all day long. And now introducing Western Burger Wednesday. Get a juicy Western burger and a medium drink for just $8.99. Then cool off with Nick's delicious ice cream treats. The perfect ending to any meal. They've extended their hours, so stop by Monday through Thursday until 10, Friday and Saturday until 11, and Sunday until 9. Nick's Station, fast and friendly with hometown flavor. Nick's is a proud supporter of area high school sports.
Southeast Ohio's sports leader, 970 AM and 97.3 FM. The Game, WATH Athens, a Total Media Group station.
The following is a special sports presentation from the Total Media Sports Network. It's Football Friday Kickoff, presented by Slarks Collision Center. As we get you ready for all your football action across the 740. Tonight's show is presented by Slarks Collision Center and brought to you by
Holzer Health System, Howard Hanna McMillan Network, A.T. Hoy Transport, Higgins Steel Roofing, Rocky Outdoor Gear Store, Nick Station, Steak and Shake, True Track Garage Doors, McFadden Insurance, Ohio Valley Bank, Hocking College, Area Agency on Aging District 7, Willis Advantage Property Solutions, Hidcock Glass, and Southern Ohio Souls.
Now let's kick off your Football Friday night. Here's Eric Landrum and Ethan Sargent.
Welcome to the War Room. It's Football Friday Nights, Week 7, presented by Slarks Automotive Services. And it's been a busy one. Eric Landrum with you. Ethan Sargent with us as well this evening. We started the night in Scioto Valley Country. The SVC Game of the Week site, the Football Friday Nights Game of the Week site, the everyone else's game of the week site. We were there too. It was a lot of fun. We started our night. Unioto, Zane Trace, the 5-1 Pioneers traveling to the 6-0 Sherman Tanks. They were the Tanks, that is, rocking the black uniforms. They were in the purple lids.
They were as advertised.
It was the site to be at, and we started the night with kind of highlighting some things, and now Sarge will give a quick recap again, if you wouldn't mind, as we are into our full program here on Football Friday Nights.
Yeah, let's run it back. I was at this game. We got to take it back to the opening couple of possessions because they were both pretty bad for both teams.
Yeah.
I believe that Zane Trace got the ball first and actually fumbled within a couple of plays and gave the ball right to Unioto in prime territory. But Unioto would turn the ball right back over 4 plays later. They went 4 and out. They did not pick up a first down, gave the ball right back to Zane Trace. We're still tied at 0. Then Zane Trace had a very long and sustained drive. They went about 10, almost 11 minutes of in-game time. The big thing for Zane Trace, we talked about this before everybody else joined up, is it was just consistent run, right? A lot of different variations within the run game, but it was only run, and that would come back to bite them later in this game. But they had a great drive, consistently getting down inside the Unioto 15-yard line. They get it to about 3rd and 3, blocking the back. Back them up 10 yards. They get about 6 on 3rd down. They go for the field goal, doink. Off the upright, no good. So they have a great, probably about a 60-yard drive, and they get nothing at the end result of it. And then, of course, right back after that, here comes Unioto. They march down the field. They actually get into a 3rd and long as well. They get into a 3rd and 18, and this proved to be the difference in the game was the fact that Unioto had that downfield passing attack. Because on 3rd and 18, Isaac Coy uncorked a beautiful rainbow ball to Jackson Zickafoose. Wouldn't be the first time, and he got into the end zone. Again, if you want to check out a couple of these touchdowns from this game, I've got them posted up on our Total Media Sports Football Friday Nights / Football Friday Kickoffs Facebook page. You want to head on over there, drop a follow on that. I've got some good videos up there from this evening, as well as some game previews I'll be posting there every Friday night. We got a good one up this evening as well. So that happens. They go up 7-0, and it stayed 7-0 into the break. One of the quicker first halves I've ever been. I think it was 7:40 at halftime.
Wow.
It was lightning quick.
Yeah.
Just because of that ball control offense. They were just running, the clock's draining, all that. So we get in the second half. Unioto actually fumbled the opening kickoff of the second half, gave Zane Trace prime field position, but the defense locked in, did a great job, turned the Pioneers away, and then they would go down the field and they would score what proved to be pretty much the death knell. They actually, again, another late down, 4th down and 5 inside the red zone now for the Pioneers, or for the Sherman Tanks, excuse me. And again, this was such a well executed play. You can go watch this video. It was the most recent video that I posted on the account, where it's 4th down and 5. They do a beautiful double move execution. So they fake that little short underneath route that they'd set it up. They had done that a couple times to dump off to Zickafoose in the flat. This time they got the DB with the pump fake. He jumps. Zickafoose just bends around him, and he's got an island back there in the back of the end zone. Easy touchdown catch. 13-0. The extra point would be blocked, but that would be all really that she wrote. They would pick up a late touchdown, and that would do it. Again, I mentioned this earlier. You have to give a ton of credit to the Zane Trace, to both defenses, but in particular to Unioto's defense. Not only pitching the shutout, forcing multiple turnovers, doing a great job at making Zane Trace basically zero-dimensional, right? Because Zane Trace, look, the offense for the Pioneers is one-dimensional. They could not throw the football.
Right.
But Zane Trace, or Unioto, did a great job of, they had some decent runs, especially on that opening drive, but after that they did a really good job on keying in, understanding their assignments, plugging the holes, and doing a great job at just limiting both Johnson and Jaden Higgins, who both got a lot of carries out of the backfield for the Pioneers.
Yeah, and that was the plan, right? They wanted to be able to find ways to get the ball to both of those guys. But Unioto's so stingy on defense. They're so disciplined. I think that while they play good football, I'm going to compare them to another team that plays great team defense, and we just had an opportunity to see them a week ago, and that's Wheelersburg. They play similar styles of defense in the sense that they're not going to make any mistakes. They defend the big play really well, and when you have the opportunity to come away with points, it is tough. They can force the turnover in the tight situation, or they'll just stop you. They can come after you on special teams. They're both dynamic defenses, and both programs have an awesome way of defending the scoreboard. No need that because the season is going to be. They're going to both win their conferences, dominate on the defensive side of the ball in conference play, and then ultimately want to do the same thing throughout the playoffs. So. We've had three awesome places to go for defense the last few weeks here in the Tank, Ed Miller Stadium, and tonight at Unioto High School. So it's been a fun 3 weeks here, back to back, man. Been fun 7 weeks now. 7 weeks we are now week 7, and by now most people kind of understand my team's going to make the playoffs or not make the playoffs. Yeah. We're going to be here in the conference. We're going to be keeping our eye on that
as we go throughout the night, as our good friend Joe Itel continues his updates, and as we look at Drew Pastor, we could start to kind of look at those kind of ratings and formats of where a lot of these teams are going to shake out. They haven't updated much just yet, again, as we are still very much waiting on a lot of these scores, but the big thing is for a lot of these teams, you're watching now for a couple of reasons. Number one, a lot of these teams are just fighting to get in, and it's a lot harder to get in now. With the 12 as opposed to 16,
right?
There is not nearly as much room for error. You're not going to have a lot of 4, 5, 6 win teams make the postseason. You're going to need to win probably 6, 7, 8 games in some cases to get into the postseason. So it's about you have to be ready for so many of these matchups, and you can't afford to have the week off. You can't afford to make the mistake against a team you should beat, because then you could miss playoffs because of that.
Exactly, and that's the way it should be.
I agree.
Right. And I'll tell you what, too. I'd not challenge anyone. I'd welcome anybody. If you feel differently, I've not heard anybody advocating for the 16-team playoff. It's very interesting.
It's the only coach. I asked every coach in the preseason who. Again, all these coaches voted on this.
Sure.
I asked all the coaches who voted for it against, and all of them voted for, except for one, and I'm not sure how surprised you're going to be at this name. TJ Carper voted against the playoff switching back. And I thought he had a good reason for it. He said, look, I think a lot of these teams deserve to have final chances, right, for seniors to close out their final years, and I agree with that to an extent. But my biggest, I guess, disagreement with that would be, is the seniors' last game really worth a 70-0 shellacking?
Sure.
I'm not sure if that's, one, safe, or B, fair.
Yes.
I just think, at the end of the day, you have to make the correct decision, and I think the correct decision was to switch it to a slightly smaller format. It just reduces the bloat a little bit.
Sure.
Right? It makes things a little less congested, let's put it that way.
Well, how about the benefit? Now, forget about, and don't get me wrong, I don't mean to say forget about the smaller, the teams that are going to make the playoffs or that are down in the bottom of their region. But giving a bye to those first 4 that get in, that is a huge game changer and a huge reward for winning. The playoffs becoming diluted. In my opinion, the second playoff game at home didn't benefit anybody because the first round playoff game at home was usually a shellacking.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really much of a reward to have 2, quote unquote, 2 home playoff games. I think this is much more of a reward for the top 4 seeds.
Well,
I love it.
Right? You think about how the top 4 seeds, right, they get those buys, which are going to be huge, right? And I'm going to keep track of this. I mentioned this before. I'm going to keep major track of how well the buy teams do as opposed to
of course.
Your 5s and 6s who play against a 12, right? And
yes.
they stay fresh. Well, they stay, I guess, hot. And then those teams get the week off, and how that affects momentum and how that, pushes you and keeps you moving forward. So I am very intrigued to see how that all shakes out, because I really think that it is a kind of toss-up. Really, we don't know. This is new. We've never had this before. And that's what makes it so intriguing as we roll along. And we're now in week 7, and we're looking ahead to week 8. And there's these next 3 weeks, there are monster games across these weeks. I mean, besides maybe Wheelersburg in the SOC2, I think every other conference we majorly cover is far from settled, right? I mean, Waterford,
Unioto, but other than that,
Unioto should be in
I think
control
you're right.
of the SVC, barring a major setback for them. I look at Waterford versus Trimble in a couple weeks. That's a big one, right?
Yeah.
In the TVC, obviously the big one in the TVC Ohio with the Buckeyes and the Bulldogs. Athens taking on Ellisville, York. That's going to be a monster game.
Yeah.
Right. You've got the FAC with a couple of teams swirling around now. You've got Trace. You've got Jackson. You've now just again, you have to say you've got Chillicothe just hanging around back there waiting. They still play. They play Trace close. They still play Jackson, right? If Jackson beats Miami Trace and then Chillicothe beats Jackson, we'd probably have a 3-way split atop the conference.
Yeah.
So they're very much aware of that.
Yeah.
They know, again, the last team to beat Jackson to the FAC title was the Chillicothe Cavaliers back in the COVID year, back in 2020.
Yeah, and we're going to steer away from the FAC here for just a moment. We're going to swing it back over to the SOC.
Let's do it.
Where our good friend and your good friend tonight across Southern Ohio, Chuck Greenslate, was at one of the premier games across Southern Ohio. I thought this was going to be a great football game this evening, Chuck. Valley falls to the Portsmouth West Senators. Chuck, thank you for spending your evening or your drive home with us. What'd you see this evening?
Well, actually, Eric, I got a little taste of the Ohio Valley Conference tonight. I'm on my way back to Portsmouth from Proctorville, where I watched the Trojans take down the Dragons 48-26. However, I communicated with our buddy Matt Payton, who was doing color at the Weston Valley game tonight on Mix 99.3. And it sounds to me as if Braden Adkins of the West Senators was the star of that game. He's a little wide receiver, defensive back. He ran a kickoff back for a touchdown. He caught a couple touchdowns, had over 140 yards receiving, and I believe 2 interceptions, Matt was telling me.
Yeah.
So, Braden Adkins was the single-handed Achilles heel to Nolan Crabtree's Valley Indians tonight. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. We really thought in Portsmouth leading up to this Week 7 that the game around Scioto County would be that Valley and West game, because Valley was just rolling right along, 5-1, only set back obviously to a really good Wheelersburg team. West kind of struggled out in the out of the gate. They got off to a 1-3 start. They lost the 13-12 Week 2 heartbreaker to Portsmouth. They struggled late against Hillsboro in week number 3. That game was really close, and then Hillsboro tacked on a couple late to make the score look a little bit more lopsided than what it was. They took it on the chin to Chillicothe, but since then, since that 1-3 start, West has been playing lights out, and it really looks like they're starting to peak at the right time.
They do this a lot.
I was going to say they did it a year ago.
They do this a lot. They started off 0-2 last year.
Yep.
Yeah, and then they reeled off 7 straight.
Yep.
And being in Division 6, I really think that West is a team that can make some noise.
Absolutely.
It looks like they are potentially en route to a 6, maybe 7-win season. When they meet Wheelersburg in weekend, that's going to be a tough one for them. There's no doubt about that. Crazier things have happened, but they're going to have to put it all together if they're going to pull off that win. But they've really got a shot to go 6-4, and I think in their region that should get them in. Whether or not that would get them into the top 4, I kind of doubt that, but hopefully it would get them somewhere in that 5 to 8 range where they would be able to host a first-round game and then go from there. But they went a couple rounds deep last year. Coach Todd Gilliland and the guys, they did a good job.
Well, the Senators played their own level of football tonight. That was a nice win over Valley. And I apologize. I feel kind of silly as I mentioned a separate game other than the one you were at, and you were present for what I thought would be another instant classic, and it did prove to be a pretty good football game, especially from the Portsmouth Trojans' perspective tonight in Proctorville as they took on a Fairland team that's always tough at home. So what we see in this one, I thought Portsmouth looked pretty good.
Portsmouth looked very good. Portsmouth has had an issue throughout the season with some penalty problems. You probably remember that from the season opener at Thursday night loss to Unioto. Well, that issue has persisted for Portsmouth throughout the first 6 weeks of the season, as Coach Bruce Cobb reminds me every week when I talk with him on our Saturday morning coaches show. But they really cleaned it up tonight. They played very, very well. They played very clean. They did not have near as many penalties as what they have had in other games this year. He has to be so pleased with the effort that they put forth. It was a wild game, Eric. It really, really was. Fernando Pocius, over 200 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns. He was absolutely phenomenal tonight. But what was so peculiar about this game is it was 28-6 Trojans through 3. And then Portsmouth scored around the 9-minute mark of the fourth period. It's 34-6. You're thinking game over.
Yeah.
Fairland then reels off 20 consecutive points, makes it a one-possession game, 34-26. They scored on a 1-yard touchdown after capping off a really nice drive. Then Portsmouth fumbled. Davin Murray returned to fumble 45 yards for a score. Portsmouth gets the ball back, fumbles again, and then they wind up getting into the end zone again, the Fairland Dragons do. So, I mean, they reeled off 3 touchdowns in a span of about 4 minutes, and all of a sudden you're looking at the scoreboard with a little over 3 minutes left. It's 34-26, and you're like, holy cow, are the Trojans going to squander this? But then amazingly, Portsmouth then, they got Pocius free again. He scored on, I believe it was a 65-yard touchdown run.
Wow.
Fairland 3 and out. Portsmouth gets the ball back, and Pocius caps it off with a 23-yard touchdown run for TD number 5 on the night. So, yeah, it was a wild game. They actually combined for 40 points in the fourth quarter alone.
Wow.
That's crazy.
It's always interesting in that one, isn't it?
Always a great game, and that's what I was going to ask Chuck about next. Obviously, last year, what a game, what a wild ending, right? I'm sure, and I actually talked to Coach Kolb about this during the offseason, about how there was a sour taste in the mouth after that game, right? They felt like they, lost it a little unfairly, which, again, seeing that on replay, I don't know how much you could disagree with that, but I think they wanted to win it in a convincing fashion this year, and they did. And, again, obviously led behind the running back, a duo of Pohez. And then, you've got Marquez Locklear back there at quarterback as well. Talk to me a little bit about what you saw from Locklear and then what that kind of meant, you think, to Portsmouth for them to be able to get that win.
I think it's going to mean a lot. I think it's a nice confidence boost. It moved them over the 500 mark. They're now 4-3. They evened up their conference mark. They're 2-2 within the Ohio Valley Conference. Pocius seems to get stronger as the season goes on. He really does, and he's an interesting back. Coach Clifford and I, we were talking about him this evening. He's really figured out when to hammer down, lower the shoulder pads, get up in the hole, and go as hard as he can versus throttling down and letting his blocks develop.
Right.
And, usually you see backs that are one or the other. They're either bull in a china shop, throw themselves up in there, caution to the wind, try to barrel over defenders and truck everybody they can. Or you see guys that are the jitterbug type backs. They get up in a hole, they dance around, they wait for the block, and then they try to cut one way or the other off of that block. He can do both. And another interesting thing about him, and Coach has pointed this out time and time again, he's got really long strides, and he's one of those backs that gets faster in the open field. A lot of times you see so many running backs that are quick through the hole. They got that great burst for the first 5-10 yards, and then if they do get to the second level, they usually get chased down by a DB. Pocius is not going to get chased down typically if he gets into the open field. He just gets faster as he goes. So he's pretty entertaining back to watch, and I've seen him a few times this year. And, of course, you couldn't tell much of anything against Unioto in that opening week because the Shermans are a really good team. But I saw him in week 2 against West, and he impressed me. And then tonight he was just absolutely phenomenal. As far as Locklear,
sorry, not to cut you off, but even in that matchup against Unioto, you could see the flashes, right? Obviously, Portsmouth struggled mightily in that game. They played a great defense, like you mentioned. And I was at this game, and I noticed this because Coach Kolb had mentioned this to me a couple weeks earlier when I had asked him, hey, you're replacing a fantastic quarterback in JT Williams. You're replacing a phenomenal running back in Chase Highland, right? Where's the production going to come from? And he said, look, this kid Fernando Pohez has been somebody that we can rely on throughout the offseason program, and he's only gotten better. And you're really now starting to see the dividends pay off for this kid. And it's really cool to see. And not only are the dividends paying off for him, they're paying off for the team. Because, without him tonight, they probably don't win that game.
Oh, you're absolutely right, Eric. They kind of go as Pocius goes. And from everything I've been told, he is a beast in the weight room. He's a super hardworking kid. His family is actually originally from Africa. His dad, last I heard, is a professor at Shawnee State University. He's got all kinds of siblings, big family. And I think there's many more Pocious kids to come through that program for Bruce Cobb, from what I understand. So, yeah.
If they're anything like Big Brother, he'll appreciate
keep
that.
Coming. Absolutely. Virgin Faithful would love to see the whole family roll through that football program. But, yeah, he's a phenomenal player. And with what he does, that opened up some things for Locklear tonight. Locklear had a couple of nice bootlegs, a couple really nice play-action rollout passes. He hit Trevin Brooks a couple times in the flat, actually converted a couple 3rd down and 8s on that little bootleg pass off play action to Pocious. Brooks played a nice game too. He did a very, very good job, and he's really impressed me at his linebacker position. But he had a touchdown tonight from fullback. They've also got a kid Portsmouth does 5 feet, 135 pounds. His name is Jamarcus Parker.
Yeah.
And, man, he is quick as a cat. He scored a touchdown tonight on a 3-yard plunge up the middle, had a nice run down the sideline. His dad is actually JoJo Parker.
JoJo.
Remember that name?
Legend.
Yeah, buddy. He was on that 2000 Portsmouth team that went to the state semifinal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's some good lineage there. But hopefully this can propel Portsmouth into a good remainder to the season. They go to Rock Hill next week. Rock Hill's did Rock Hill get Gallia tonight?
They did hang on to beat Gallia 23-21.
By the skin of their teeth.
Yeah, I knew it was back and forth there for a while, but as close of a game as Portsmouth had with Gallia wound up winning 28-14, but Portsmouth led the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So, I think that sets the stage for what should be a really, really good game. I can remember talking to you guys about Rock Hill there prior to that Thursday night season opener in week 1. Coach Tony Love is a guy that I really have a lot of admiration for. He was a coach of mine when I was in high school, when he was first starting out as a coordinator for us, and he's just a super guy. Won a state championship for the Ashland Tomcats over in Kentucky, and that 2020 COVID shortened season. He knows his stuff. He will have Rock Hill ready, but Coach Bruce Cobb, I'm sure, will have the Trojans ready to go as well. So that should be a really fun game next week. That's a big one. That's a big one. Portsmouth went into this week 14th in Division 5, Region 19. Fairland only has 3 wins, but this should help Portsmouth. I'll be anxious to see what ITEL has them a little bit later tonight. I don't know if it'll be enough to catapult them.
That's a very good point.
It should be pretty close.
Very good point. I'm interested to see where they end up, because those L2 points, I think I'm just starting to see a couple of scores and a couple of records get trickled in on ITEL and on some of these websites. Now, obviously not even close to being done, but some of them are starting to roll in. And I think when you look at where Portsmouth's at right now, they're in 14th spot, so they're 2 out. Right, Valley losing tonight is a good news for Portsmouth fans, because that'll bump them up a spot most likely. And then if you're Portsmouth, you're looking on teams you've beaten to do well. Portsmouth West getting the win tonight is a big deal for Portsmouth. That's going to help them out a lot because of those L2 points, like you mentioned. And again, they're not getting a lot from Chesapeake right now, and they're not getting, Greenup County, it only counts for so much because they're out of state. So they really want to see Portsmouth West continue to win, because that's going to help the Trojans out a ton when it comes to those postseason seedings. And then look, these next couple of weeks when they've got Rock Hill, and then obviously they close out the season with Ironton, they're going to have a tough challenge to beat the Tigers. But if they could get a win over Rock Hill and then find a way to beat South Point, right? If you go in at 6-4 with the victories that they have, I think they'll be feeling pretty good about where they're at postseason-wise.
I agree wholeheartedly with that assessment. I do. I think they're in a pretty decent position right now. I think they still control their own destiny, but you're right. If West can continue to win, which I really feel that West has got several more wins left here over the next 3 games, that's certainly going to help Portsmouth's cause. But, first and foremost, the Trojans have to take care of their own business, and that's going to be a really big matchup next week against the Redmen.
Chuck, get home, enjoy your Friday, enjoy your Saturday and Sunday. I hope all your teams win this weekend, man. I don't care who they are. You deserve it.
I appreciate that, Eric. I appreciate that. We've got some big ones coming up next week, too. Notre Dame, Eastern Pike. That's going to be pretty sweet.
Big deal.
D7. That
big
should
game.
be fun. Absolutely. Bunch of big games. Of course, these Portsmouth Rock Hill games. So, Yep, getting down to the nitty-gritty here, already heading off to week number 8, which is hard to believe.
Hey, tell a friend of yours what you were trying to get to Spartan Municipal Stadium next Friday. Put in a good word for us before we got to reach
I'll
out.
definitely do that. That's a Friday night game now. Remember, a lot of the schedules released early on had that
Yes, Friday night.
Or it's a Friday night game.
Friday night game. Thanks for mentioning
Yes,
that.
sir.
Chuck, as always, we appreciate you. Thanks for taking the time.
All right, appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
You as well. Chuck Greenslate taking the time to join us. And now we got to step aside. This is the tagline that should come along with Chuck Greenslate. Chuck took the time to join us, and now we got to step aside, man. We appreciate it, man. But he gives us a full recap on several games around the area. Because
even the games he's not at.
Even the ones he's
on
not
top
at.
of everything.
He's on top of it because I don't know where he's at in Scioto County any given night. We'll be right back. You're listening to Football Friday Nights, brought to you by Slark's Automotive Services.
Looking for a bank that puts you first? At Farmers Bank, they've been helping neighbors grow for over a century with personal checking and savings, business loans, convenient online and mobile banking, and customer service that treats you like family. Whether you're planting roots or planning your future, Farmers Bank will help every step of the way. Stop by one of their local branches today and experience why Farmers Bank is your hometown bank since 1904. Member FDIC. Farmers Bank, growing with you.
Need a ride to your medical appointment? Medication ready for pickup? A.T. Hoy, LLC has you covered. We provide fast, safe, reliable transportation for medical recipients in Hocking, Ross, and Benton counties. And we're proud to announce we're serving Benton County veterans. We thank you for your service. A.T. Hoy is always looking to expand our crew. Apply online or drop anchor at one of these 3 locations today and grab an application. Call 740-596-0536 today to see if you qualify for free transportation. A.T. Hoy, charting a course for care.
This is XYZ Insurance. How can I help?
I have a question about my home policy.
Okay, question about phone policy.
Home policy.
Okay, gnome policy.
HOME, home.
Technology is great, but sometimes it's better to talk with a real person. With Erie Insurance, you have a caring, independent agent who's with you from beginning to end. Your Erie agent is McFadden Insurance. Get a quote today at McFadden-insurance.com. Go to ErieInsurance.com for company licensure and product details.
Trying to find a durable new look for your retail office, house, garage, or new barn dominium? Higgins Steel Roofing and Siding has added 2 new profiles within the past year that would make great options. A heavier 26-gauge metal board and batten with several colors to choose from adds a fresh new look to any project regardless of size. Or come in and check out our new options for standing seam. If it's steel roofing and siding, it comes from Higgins. Located in Hillsboro and Jackson, Higgins Steel Roofing and Siding. Family owned and operated since 1958.
Craving good eats in Nelsonville? Head over to Nick's Station, home of Footlong Friday, where the footlongs bring the flavor all day long. And now introducing Western Burger Wednesday. Get a juicy Western burger and a medium drink for just $8.99. Then cool off with Nick's delicious ice cream treats. The perfect ending to any meal. They've extended their hours, so stop by Monday through Thursday until 10, Friday and Saturday until 11, and Sunday until 9. Nick's Station, fast and friendly with hometown flavor. Nick's is a proud supporter of area high school sports.
House hunting? Selling? Don't get sacked by stress. Howard Hanna Real Estate and the McNerlin Network team are your real estate MVPs in Jackson. They've got the full playbook, mortgage, title, home warranty, insurance, and global marketing that scores big with buyers. No fumbles, no flags, just smooth moves to the end zone of home ownership. Call 740-702-6000. Let Howard Hanna Real Estate and the McNerlin Network team quarterback your next big win.
This is Football Friday Kickoff on Total Media Sports, presented by Slark's Collision Center.
If you didn't need J.B. Miller over some R&B music, well, you got it this evening anyway. Welcome back to Week 7 of Football Friday Nights, brought to you by Slark's Automotive Services. I'm Eric Landrum, Ethan Sargent, along with us this evening as well. We're going to go ahead and give you a quick rundown of all of the scores from a busy Week 7 in the 7-4-0. Let's get to it. Jackson takes down McLean 48-6 at Alumni Stadium. Miami Trace on the road over Hillsboro 49-6. Chillicothe on the road picks up an FAC win over Washington Courthouse, 34-29. Nelsonville blanks the Wellston Rockets at home in Bucknell, 55-0. Northwest at Vinton County in MacArthur, 43-22 over the Vikings. Alexander on the road in Bidwell over the River Valley Raiders, 26-6. Athens gets a shutout victory over Meigs in Joe Burrow Stadium in Athens, 53-0. Trimble over Belpre, 44-0. What last we heard, Waterford was winning in a big way over Southern. No final at this time. Feel free to shoot it into us if you have it. Wheelersburg 52-8 over Oak Hill. Waverly picks up its first win of the year over Minford, 41-7 in Tigertown. Portsmouth West gets a win over Valley, 44-20 in Lucasville. Zane Trace shut out by Unioto tonight, 19-0. Also 2 other shutouts in the SVC. Huntington at Paint Valley, 36-0. The Huntsmen pick up the win, and Piketon gets a 35-0 victory over Southeastern. The final game of the SVC play on the night in Williamsport. Westfall gets a win, 28-0 over, or 28-14 over Adina. Guy Academy loses a heartbreaker to Rock Hill, 23-21. The Blue Devils fall. Rock Hill hangs on to move to 6-1 on the year. Portsmouth gets a nice win in Proctorville, 48-26. South Point in Chesapeake. The Pointers get a victory, 41-18 over the Panthers to keep things moving. The Pointers move to 3-4 on the season. Portsmouth Notre Dame in dominating fashion, 70-0 over the Green Bobcats. Portsmouth Notre Dame undefeated. We mentioned that. It's likely to be where we're home, where we're housed next Friday night. We'll get to more of that here in just a little while. Beaver Eastern 40-6 over Sims Valley. Sciotoville East falls to South Gallia, 54-8. Wahama defeats Eastern Meigs, 27-10. KIPP Columbus falls to Coalgrove in Ironton, 40-26. The Hornets pick up the victory. We're going to take another break, get things back on time here. When we return, we're going to have more scores, more talk from around the area, and of course those conference standings at the end of the night and the playoff picture if there's time for it. Keep it right here. It's going to be a busy last hour of football Friday nights, brought to you by Slarks Automotive Services.
Need to expand or remodel your building? Increase your inventory? Or have access to working capital? Let our experienced business loan team help you grow your business. We specialize in business loans. Ohio Valley Bank, a better way to bank. Member FDIC. Visit us online at ovbc.com.
The Uptown Clinic powered by Holzer is located at 5 North Court Street in Athens. Nurse practitioner Amy Ward and staff provide walk-in urgent care services, on-site lab testing, primary care services, and much more. If you're on your way to work, class, or back home and need care, stop by the Holzer Uptown Clinic, conveniently located for Ohio University students, staff, and families. That's the Holzer Uptown Clinic at 5 North Court Street in Athens.
When it comes to glass, experience matters, and Pidcock Glass in Nelsonville has over 30 years of it. From windows and doors to custom glass projects, they can handle almost any job. Pidcock Glass is Southeast Ohio's premier service company to call if you're experiencing glass loss or damage. Whether it's your home, business, or special project, trust the experts who've been serving the community for decades. Let Pidcock Glass brighten your day. Call 740-753-4527 or visit pidcockglass.com today. Proud supporters of area high school athletics.
Are you tired of dealing with malfunctioning garage doors? Look no further than True Track Garage Doors in Londonderry. Our team of experienced technicians specialize in garage door repairs, installation, and maintenance services. Whether you need a simple repair or a brand new garage door installation, we've got you covered. At True Track Garage Doors, we prioritize customer satisfaction and ensure that your garage door is functioning properly and safely. Contact us today at 740-596-1000 to schedule an appointment or request a free estimate. Call True Track
to get you back on track.
Mom, my teacher said some kids don't get new shoes when school starts.
That's why Southern Ohio Soles is so important, honey. They make sure that underprivileged kids start the year with shoes that fit and feel good.
So, if people give money, more kids can have shoes for school?
Exactly. Every dollar helps a child walk into class with pride, ready to learn and ready to thrive.
Can I help too?
Everyone can. Visit www.southernohiosoles.com now and help a kid start school confident and strong.
Calling all hunters and outdoor enthusiasts, it's time to gear up for your next adventure with our buy one, get two free sale on select items at the Rocky Outdoor Gear Store. That's right, 3 pairs of boots for the price of 1. Whether you're planning for the hunting season, need new hiking boots for the trails, or even a new pair of work boots, we've got you covered. Don't miss out. Stop and see us today at the Rocky Outdoor Gear Store. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Come get fully stocked up for any season at the Rocky Outdoor Gear Store.
The Slark family has welcomed drivers through their body shop doors for many years. And now, with the addition of Slark's Tire and Service Center, formerly Jackson Tire, they continue to provide the same great experience, care, and quality you can count on. Our certified technicians bring experience and knowledge and provide fast, expert service with top quality brand tires and parts to keep your car running smoothly and road ready. Reliable, honest, and hassle-free. Visit Slark's Tire and Service at 66 East Broadway Street in Jackson, your local tire and auto repair experts.
Looking for a home away from home for your furry friend? Welcome to Red Woof Inn, where tails wag and dreams come true. At Red Woof, we offer spacious play areas, cozy naps, and personalized care from our dedicated team. Whether your pup loves fetch or just snuggling, we've got it covered. Our facilities are top-notch and our staff are dog lovers through and through. From playtime adventures to treat-filled cuddle sessions, we ensure your pup has a blast. Give your dog a vacation they'll love at Red Woof Inn, located on Old Dixon Road in MacArthur. Call 740-649-8640 to book your fur baby stay while spots are still available.
Back to more of Football Friday Kickoff on Total Media Sports, presented by Slark's Collision Center.
Need new tires? Rick's Tire and Auto has you covered. Looking for top-notch auto service? Rick's Tire and Auto has expertise. And now they're bringing their A-game to Athens County. Owned by Rick Dieter, formerly of Huddle Tire in Athens. Rick's Tire and Auto Service is located at 1353 East Canal Street in Nelsonville. Right off the first Nelsonville exit on 33 West. Stop in for a quick tire change or oil change or schedule an appointment by calling 220-218-4169. At Rick's Tire and Auto, we have your vehicle covered.
Willis Advantage Property Solutions delivers dependable, full-service property maintenance you can trust. We specialize in asphalt repair, infrared patching, surface cleaning, parking lot striping, and powerful hydrojet drain cleaning, serving industrial, commercial, and residential customers across the region. From small fixes to large-scale projects, we get the job done right, on time, and on budget. Call now for your free consultation at 740-577-4574. Willis Advantage Property Solutions. We protect and maintain what matters.
Trying to find a durable new look for your retail office, house, garage, or new barn dominium? Higgins Steel Roofing and Siding has added 2 new profiles within the past year that would make great options. A heavier 26-gauge metal board and batten with several colors to choose from adds a fresh new look to any project regardless of size. Or come in and check out our new options for standing seam. If it's steel roofing and siding, it comes from Higgins. Located in Hillsboro and Jackson, Higgins Steel Roofing and Siding. Family owned and operated since 1958.
The Uptown Clinic powered by Holzer is located at 5 North Court Street in Athens. Nurse practitioner Amy Ward and staff provide walk-in urgent care services, on-site lab testing, primary care services, and much more. If you're on your way to work, class, or back home and need care, stop by the Holzer Uptown Clinic, conveniently located for Ohio University students, staff, and families. That's the Holzer Uptown Clinic at 5 North Court Street in Athens.
House hunting? Selling? Don't get sacked by stress. Howard Hanna Real Estate and the McNerlin Network team are your real estate MVPs in Jackson. They've got full playbook, mortgage, title, home warranty, insurance, and global marketing that scores big with buyers. No fumbles, No flags, just smooth moves to the end zone of home ownership. Call 740-702-6000. Let Howard Hanna Real Estate and the McNerlin Network team quarterback your next big win.
Craving good eats in Nelsonville? Head over to Nick's Station, home of Footlong Friday, where the footlongs bring the flavor all day long. And now introducing Western Burger Wednesday. Get a juicy Western burger and a medium drink for just $8.99. Then cool off with Nick's delicious ice cream treats. The perfect ending to any meal. They've extended their hours, so stop by Monday through Thursday until 10, Friday and Saturday until 11, and Sunday until 9. Nick's Station, fast and friendly with hometown flavor. Nick's is a proud supporter of area high school sports.
970 AM and 97.3 FM. The Game. WATH Athens, a Total Media Group station.
You're listening to Football Friday Kickoff on Total Media Sports, presented by Slarks Collision Center.
Welcome back. You're listening to Football Friday Nights, presented by Slarks Automotive Services. I'm Eric Landrum, Ethan Sargent with you in the War Room on an action-packed Week 7. We're wrapping up. We're now in the final hour of Week 7, where it all began tonight. Unioto High School, Zane Trace. That was a marquee game on our slate around the area. Let's take a look back at some of the other big games around the area that we had mentioned, Sarge. We had Sims Valley and Beaver Eastern as a big game on the slate. That proved to be a Beaver Eastern butt-whooping. Let's just call it what it was, of the Sims Valley Vikings. I've been in communication with some folks over there, and by the sounds of it, one passing completion of over 8 yards
and we
for the
talked
Vikings.
Up that Sims Valley offense.
Wow.
Sometimes these teams go out there and make us look stupid.
That's okay.
I don't appreciate it.
Well, you know what? Sometimes a team shows up,
you know
and
what,
Beaver
honestly,
showed up, man.
That's the converse side, the reverse side of that, where on one hand, yeah, they made us because we talked up Sims. Look, we both picked Beaver Eastern.
Of course,
but
yeah.
At the end of the day, I thought this game would be a little bit closer. I think it's all credit. You have to give 90%, 99%, 100% of the credit to Beaver Eastern. Because, again, from what I heard about this game, we both heard through the grapevine that they just controlled the line of scrimmage, right up front on both sides of the football, created running lanes, created great pass blocking opportunities, and then on the other side, I mean, from what I heard, just Sims Valley Center was just getting run over every single play. And Bronx Carpenter back there for Sims Valley had no time to throw, had really nobody to throw it to, because by the time he looks up to see where the ball is after he gets the snap, he's got an eagle bearing down on him.
And it don't matter what kind of arm you got. If you're not comfortable in a situation where you're throwing the football and you're putting your body in a defenseless position to try to push the football down the field, it's just not going to work. Especially by the sounds of it, you mentioned dominating the line of scrimmage. Inside and outside, too. Listen, Sims Valley lines up 4 wide. Most plays, they have 4 receivers in the set. Beaver Eastern tonight, they just line up men with them, push them around, disrupt the timing on the outside of the ball, disrupt the timing in the middle. As a quarterback, you don't stand a chance. It's a nightmare situation. That's what it proved to be.
I will say,
quick
update here. It appears like Federal Hockey in Manchester's game is actually tomorrow.
Okay, that's been the case with some of these Manchester games.
That is the matchup.
I wondered on that.
It'll be a 7 o'clock kickoff, so we obviously don't have a final score for that one. That'll be a trip for the Lancers out to Manchester tomorrow. We appreciate all our listeners out there on WAGX in that Manchester Adams area, Adams County, Pike, kind of into Pike County, a little bit of that area. We appreciate y'all. I think the only final score that I don't have on my sheet, and we know the outcome of this game, we just don't know the score. And I mean,
Waterford Southern.
Oh, I don't have that one. I do have that one, actually. I have 47-0.
Okay.
And then I have South Gallia 54, Sourdouville East 0. I don't know if that's a final, but that's the score that I have. I'm gonna
repeat that. Could you repeat that for me? I'll tell you.
South Gallia 54-0.
Final was 54-8.
Okay, so Sourdouville East picks up. I was going to say, I think it's okay to assume the outcome there, but I wasn't going to jump any guns on the actual final score. So.
That was shared by the school's page, so we're good
I will
there.
say that Marietta did defeat Williamstown, but it was 14-6, not 14-0.
Okay.
And I think everything else should be good. We got Ironton coming up tomorrow. They're taking on Uniontown. I guess we can quickly, that's one thing I did want to do is kind of take a quick look at what Ironton can expect tomorrow in that Uniontown opponent. Obviously, the Tigers are going to be coming into this game, right? They have that on the back of that just tough one last week going up against Wheelersburg. Tough loss. On the road, they battled, right? But they just couldn't get it done. Now they're going up against the Red Raiders of Uniontown. They're 2-4 on the season. Taking a quick pop and quick look over at their statistics. Right now, in terms of their statistics, do they have any crazy statistics up? They do, actually. Not all. They're not fully in there yet, but I can tell you their starting quarterback. His name is Braden Hinsey. He's a junior. Through the first 3 games of the season for them, he had 313 yards, 3 touchdowns to a pick. But the completion percentage is what I think jumps out to me the most, 22 for 50. So just a 44% completion rate. They don't really have it seems like very much so it's a running back by committee approach for the Red Raiders. Nobody actually in this, again, they haven't updated their stats in a few weeks, so this is all probably not quite updated, but still before this, they didn't have a single rusher over 100 yards through 3 weeks. So they're in search of that. They do have a receiver by the name of Marcus Evans. He's a sophomore. He's their leading receiver at the moment with over 200 yards in the air. So keep an eye on him this week. But again, you'd expect Ironton to take care of business against this team. Again, they're 2-4. Last week, their matchup was against actually Martins Ferry, a school we're familiar with down in, and they lost 49-13 to Martins Ferry.
Martins Ferry's playing great football.
Actually started the year 2-1. They took down Perry Traditional Academy in the Pittsburgh area, and then they took down Brownsville. They won that game, the Perry game, 12-8. They beat Brownsville 34-27. Then the last few weeks have been tough. They lost to Taylor Allardyce. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but that's who they lost to. They lost 40-0 to them, and then they took on Albert Gallatin, the Colonials, in an in-town opponent, actually. Imagine it was a rivalry game, and they lost 46-10. And then they played Martins Ferry. They get this Ironton game. I think this was another one of those late schedules for Ironton. They didn't really have a team to play, so they played this team, and then they go back into their conference slate. It's actually a 3:30 game tomorrow, from what I've seen. So a late afternoon kick. It should be a nice afternoon kick. It is out at Uniontown, so Ironton's on the road for this matchup. But again, based on what we saw last week, again, looking at the stats for the Ironton Tigers right now, the big thing for Ironton is I think they need a little bit more in the passing game right now. And it's not like I'm not saying they need to. They don't need to rip up the playbook. And if Coach Pendleton is out there listening, I don't think he is, but if he is, he knows this, right? He's a lot smarter at the game of football than I am. I'm happy to admit that. But I think they could stand to get a little bit more in their downfield passing game. It hasn't worked the last couple weeks. Against Jackson, they did have success, but that Jackson team was ravaged by injuries, and they were very young. And then against Wheelersburg, we talked about this last week. I thought that the Pirates did such a good job at that too-high shell. They didn't allow that big play, right? And they've got such depth and talent up front that they caused Ironton a ton of issues on their line that, again, was missing a couple of guys due to suspension, and they had a couple of issues with that. So, again, when you look at what Ironton's been able to do, again, they've got 2 rushers at over 400 yards this year with both Edwards. Obviously, Edwards got over 1,000 yards combined. Now he's got 561 passing yards, 527 rushing yards. Then you got Zane Williams, who obviously came out a little bit late, didn't play a ton early in the year, but he's had 424 yards through his first 6 games. And then the receiver position, they've got a bunch of talent, right? They don't really have that. They don't have a Terry. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. They don't have a Sean Terry, but they've got it's like the Oakland Athletics in Moneyball. We replace them in the aggregate, right? You've got Braden Mullins. You've got Maddox Markle. You've got Braden Baker. There's a ton of B names on this. You've got Mullins. You've got Bryson Kearns. You've got Brock Biggs. You just got a lot of B's on that roster. So, again, Ironton's going to look to try and continue. You got Bryson Mullins. Can't forget about him as well. So, a lot of these guys are again, I think they're going to be really motivated. That's the big thing that I take away, right? This Ironton team is not one to wilt or to fold, right? And they know that. The guys out there we talked to, we talked to Jason Filia, who's in charge of our, of our promos, and he's in charge of the Tigers, really, at the end of the day.
He's in charge of Ironton. You go to anywhere in Ironton, say Jason Filial.
It'll get you places.
Get you anywhere, honestly.
It'll get you places. And I think the big thing for the Tigers is going to be about just – we talked about this, right? They're going to be favored to win. They more likely, barring a pretty crazy upset over the next 3 weeks, they got Uniontown tomorrow night. They got Fairland next week. They got Gallia, and then they get Portsmouth. So they basically go back to the OVC for 3 weeks here.
Sure.
And then they'll be in the postseason. They're going to be 9-1. Barring, again, a major upset from any of those teams, they're going to be 9-1.
Right.
And they're probably going to have a week off. Right, they're probably going to be 9-1. They're going to have that week off heading into the postseason with the L2 points they're going to get from the McNichols and from a bunch of these other schools that they've played. But what can they learn is the big question that I have. And I think, the downfield passing, and then I think the run defense.
Yeah.
I think those are the two things that they can improve on. And I think, my biggest thing with Ironton is Coach Pendleton strives for perfection, right? They want to win every game, right? They celebrated that state championship game for about a week, and then it was on to 2024, or on to 2025, I should say. They were instantly, we want 4, right? They got their third one last year. We want a 4th. We want to go back to back. We want to make history. Is this team capable of doing that? Absolutely, they are. But they're not quite, again, they just have to tune a couple things up, and that's the beauty of this, right? That team last year had plenty of things they needed to tune up before they made it into the postseason, and then they went and they kind of swept everybody aside in the postseason, and then they, play that great game against Liberty Center and win the game. Yeah. So, again, plenty of season left, far from over, and again, the big takeaway, I think they see that Pirate team again, whether it's the regional semifinal, whether it's the regional final. I have a hard time believing that they don't see that team again at some point, barring an upset from somebody on either side. But I think Ironton would want him again. I think they'd want to see him again. I think they'd be motivated, and I think it would be another amazing game, just like it was last week. It was a phenomenal football game last week. Elijah Brown, the hero for Wheelersburg. Braylon Rucker was fantastic.
Yeah,
but I think Coach Pendleton and that Ironton squad will be fiending to see them again. I think they'll want that one back.
Well, I think so too, and I think that the loss taught, you asked what Ironton can learn the few weeks going ahead. I think the loss a week ago tells you a lot about Ironton in the sense of, the receivers got to step up, but, that's a relatively inexperienced receiving core. Mm-hmm. We don't really talk about that much with Ironton, but that's a relatively new receiving core. And they got beat up by some upperclassmen. They quite frankly just got locked up defensively. It happens. They didn't run the ball nearly well enough for to win the game. They didn't control the line of scrimmage the way they usually do.
And that's
Coach Pendleton. For him, right? Coach Pendleton's going to notice those things.
Yeah,
and he's going to figure it out, and he's going to make sure it doesn't happen again.
I can't imagine film was particularly fun on Sunday.
Yeah.
Right? That's the brutality, right? And if there's one thing I know about Coach Pendleton, right, and you notice this when you watch a ton of games, you watch Ironton games, right? When I've talked to Coach Pendleton a number of times, both on the phone and in person. Very personable guy, very, very, very much down to earth. He's not someone to big time you outside of the field. He's, you get a lot of great answers out of him. You're able to have a really good conversation with him. I always appreciate that because some coaches that just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
He's very, very personable, and he's a great guy to talk to. But it's the other guy who I noticed this with is Andy Hall up at Jackson.
Yeah.
When they get down on the field, it's like a different personality comes out.
Yeah.
It's tough love at the end of the day. Right, but he will rip into guys.
Oh,
he will
man.
be, and look, we've seen it. I mean, we've seen it. I'm sure you've seen it and felt it from Coach Hall. And
we were in MacArthur one night. He pulled me out of the locker room to yell at me. That's a true story. He gave it to me good on week 3 in MacArthur that year. But yeah, but like you said, tough love. You play everyone wants to play to be the best. Every coach wants to. Andy Hall, Trevin Pendleton, Rob Woodward. They want to be the best program in Southern Ohio.
They do.
And right now, I can promise you that Coach Pendleton's message to his team is, you want to get back to the state? We just fell to a regional opponent.
You got to beat that team. You got to beat those Pirates.
So
right? You got to beat them. And look, there's plenty of other great teams in this region that are going to be tough to beat. And I look at this region, and I really don't see anybody but the top 4 right now. I look at Wheelersburg and Ironton, right? I don't see anybody but those two. The Buckeyes are a sneaky contender, right?
Yeah.
I think that they would be a step down from Wheelersburg. They'd be a step down from Ironton. But if they can play, they've got an offensive line that can play with anybody, right? Led by Will Owenthal. I mean, that offensive line is it's senior driven, senior led. They've got 3 running backs, all of which are capable of handling the football. You've got Gautier leading the way. Walker Stone is one of the most slept-on running backs around just because he doesn't get the touches that some of these other guys get. But when he touches the ball, look out. And then Dakota Cunningham's just the bruiser up there. He's the finisher. He'll block into the ground and then run it for 20 on the next play.
Yeah.
And then you got a quarterback in Cam Sullivan, who I just think continues to grow week in and week out for that Buckeye squad. And then you got Rusty Richards, who is beyond experienced. He knows what he's doing. He's been there before. Then you got Barnesville, I don't know what to think of this team because every year it's like, oh, well, they're pretty good. And then every year it's like, oh, they lost in the first round again? We're doing this again? So I believe Barnesville actually played yesterday, if I'm not correct.
Interesting.
Yes, they did. They played Wheeling Central Catholic out in West Virginia, got a 43-14 win over them. They've actually got 2 more West Virginia opponents coming up, and of course they're so close to the border out there, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And they close out the year with Union Local. They're not going to get a ton of those L2 points, which is why I think NY could, have a real shot at getting by them if they go 9-1, or especially if they go 10-0. They go 9-1, they'll probably be in the middle of the pack somewhere. They'll make the playoffs, but in the middle of the pack with that win over, Colgrove is going to do a lot of good for them as well. And then obviously I keep bringing them up because you can't count them out. They're on the outside looking in right now. They play a team from Canada tomorrow.
Ooh.
But Harvest Prep, I mean, every year, right? Yeah. And I actually talked about this with Rusty Richards after the coach day. I said, people don't want to schedule that team.
Yeah.
They don't want to. There's a reason their schedule is loaded this year. It's because a lot of these smaller teams, 7-4 don't want to schedule them anymore.
It's true.
And there's a variety of reasons for that, some of which I don't feel like are fair to get into on this show.
Sure.
But I think that they are always now. They're a good team. They're a consistent. They've got one of the best quarterbacks in the state in Colin Boff, who is a junior now, who is continuing to get better and continuing to improve week in and week out. And again, I hear from one of my good buddies is a scout for Prep Red Zone, which is one of the big scouting divisions on the high school football side. He says, yeah, he's got some of the best intangibles I've seen, and I think that's a huge deal.
Sure.
To deal with a quarterback like that is tough. Right? It's a guy he's got Power 5 looks.
Right.
Power 4 looks, the next level. So, again, keep your eyes on Prep, and that region could get real interesting. I mean, I guess we could take a look around some of these other regions right now. Again, we're not they haven't updated anything yet. They take a little bit longer these days just because, again, there's more playoff points. They got to do the out-of-state stuff. Again, we may be here pretty late on 3 Fridays from now as we're trying to sort out the playoff bracket craziness. But Region 11 actually doesn't have a ton of teams that we cover in, which is weird. But obviously Athens is in there. You've got a couple teams of ours down like Warren, Marietta, who are down near the bottom of the conference that are almost eliminated or effectively eliminated. But again, Athens they can't afford to slip. Right? They slip, they're out.
Yeah,
they cannot afford to slip. I mean, teams around them keep winning. Sheridan won tonight. Bloom Carroll, I believe, won tonight. They played against Logan Elm. They got the victory. Sheridan got a nice win over Philo. I think Granville played Licking Heights tonight. They did. I think they won that game. Hamilton Township did win tonight. I know that for a fact. They beat Circleville, which was a big game in the MSL Cardinal Division.
Yeah.
But again, they've got some good teams around them. Licking Valley up there as well. Licking Valley played Zanesville tonight, who were 0-6. They won that game, I saw. And then obviously, again, the big dogs in this region are the Eagles, I should say. They actually are off this week, Bishop Watterson. So they'll probably stay at the top of the region. And then they got probably their toughest matchup of the season remaining is next week. They take on Bishop Hartley. I expect them to cruise into the postseason. I mean, they play the other Northwest in week 9, not Northwest McDermott, but Northwest in Hamilton County, the Knights out there in Region 8, so a bit of a bigger school. But and they close their season with St. Charles. I know a couple of my good friends are St. Charles grads up in Columbus. But yeah, they're, again, it's kind of like we said, but even more so than some of these other schools. Waterson's on top until proven otherwise in that region. They bring back a lot of that talent that won the state championship last year. Down in 12, again, nothing's been updated yet, but Trace will probably stick around about where they are. I know London won huge tonight, so they're not going anywhere. Tippecanoe, I'm pretty sure, played Xenia. That was a pretty good game. I don't know. I saw that it was pretty tight late. I don't know who actually came out on top in that one. But, again, Trace will probably stay in the top 4 looking at everything. I don't know if they would have passed any of Tippecanoe, London, or Baden, the Rams down there in Region 12. But, again, for Trace, it's just about sticking with them. And then Jackson could have a huge opportunity to jump up into those spots should they beat Miami Trace, right? They play – Jackson's 2 losses don't look so bad now, do they?
No.
I mean, obviously, again, the Ironton loss, you don't have your quarterback. You're on the road against one of the best teams in the state. And then the Wheelersburg loss at home, right, continues to look, maybe like, well, we definitely could have played better, but that's a really, really good Wheelersburg team. More than what I'm saying is it's more of a check mark for Wheelersburg than it is an X for Jackson, right? It's more of a, wow, that team's really good, than Jackson's not so good.
Right.
And then Chillicothe right now with the win tonight, they'll do wonders for their playoff positioning with them being at 3-3. There's a whole host of teams there at 3-3 as well. You got Bellefountain who got trounced by London tonight, 48-0. Batavia's in there, who Miami Trace beat earlier this year. You got Bellbrook, Hughes, some of the other schools that are just kind of hanging around. So big win for the Cavaliers tonight in terms of their playoff positioning. They could well get a rematch against Miami Trace or Jackson in the postseason. It's a possibility. Looking in Region 15, and not a lot of our schools are in this one as well. Indian Valley, by the way, the squad out in Nadenhut, and they took on Garraway tonight. 338 yards for Grady Kinsey tonight. 338.
Wow.
We remember last year about how good that kid was, and it was a big national story. I don't know. I'm actually going to check this final score to see who came out on top in this game. But they didn't just win. How about a domination for Indian Valley, 40-13? That's going to do them a ton of good on that. They're going to move up big time on that. Right now, they're all the way down in 8th position. They're going to move up big time because Garraway came into this matchup unbeaten at 5-0. So they'll move up. Unioto will get some nice points after this week. They'll go to 7-0. They'll get plenty of nice L2s from Zane Trace. And that's why it was big for them to win this game, because when you look at the rest of Unioto's schedule, they take on, Paint Valley, who are winless next week. They take on Southeastern. And then, they got Westfall to close out the year. Westfall's having a pretty solid year. They got the win over Adina tonight. They'll go to 5-2. That could help them out as well. But again, a lot of Westfall's wins are also against teams that the Sherman Tanks, I don't like to speak. The Sherman Tanks have already beaten, right? So that's going to be the big thing for them, is to try and just keep it going. And you want to try and get into the postseason at 10-0. So so far they seem to be on track to doing that. One of 4 unbeatens in this region. You've got actually 5, because Indian Valley is 5-0. You've got New Lexington, Jonathan Alder, Indian Creek, Unioto, and Indian Valley all sitting at 5-0. And then Philo lost tonight to Sheridan, so they're going to drop a little bit in those rankings as well. Moving over to 19, where, again, talked about this one just a second ago. We won't go too deep into it tonight. We won't go more deep into it, I should say.
Sure.
Wheelersburg, Ironton at the top. Nelsonville York will probably stay put. Barnesville won't move too much. They got the win yesterday. Zane Trace might drop a little bit because of that loss. I'm not sure. Again, a lot of this kind of a muck in the middle of this division.
Right.
You've got like Afrocentric is in there, who they took on Independence tonight up in the Columbus area. You got Morgan in there from McConnellsville. You got Amanda Clear Creek, who did get a nice win tonight over Lucas. That'll be good for them. Again, Amanda's thriving off the L2s right now, because remember, they beat Zane Trace earlier this year. You got Union Local in there at 4-2. You got Colgrove, who will be moving up to 5-2.
Yep.
You got Valley, who might slide a little bit this week after that loss. And then you got Portsmouth right there in the 14th spot. They're going to move up with the victory over Fairland. And then conversely, the Dragons are going to slide down a little bit. And now, again, I'm really looking at the rest of Fairland's schedule. And again, so that, by the way, that was their last home game.
Oh, wow.
They close. Listen to this.
That's a tough
They
slate.
close the season. So obviously they're at Ironton next week, which is, again, that's just a tough matchup for anybody. Then they're at Coalgrove, which is a tough game for them, and it's probably do or die in that game.
Yeah.
Truly. And then they go to Chesapeake. They'll be expected to win that game on the road. But I really circle that Coalgrove game. And look, as that could be a Coalgrove team that might be win and done in the OVC.
Yeah.
And that's going to be about as desperate a football team as you can get. And it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy.
I'll tell you what, man. The fact that we're even looking at playoffs right now is crazy enough to me. But you're right. The playoff picture is shaping up to be a lot of fun everywhere throughout Southern Ohio. It's going to be a good time. We got to get to a break. When we return, more of the final scores from around the night. We'll talk more about the playoffs and the conference standings from around the 740. Keep it right here. Don't move a muscle. You're listening to Football Friday Nights, brought to you by Slarks Automotive Services.
It's football time in the Buckeye State. Catch every moment of every Ohio State football game on 97.3 WATH. Join us as we bring you the action from the Horseshoe on the road, because when the Buckeyes play, all of Ohio listens. Ohio State football on WATH is made possible thanks to our great sponsors: Donato's, Wendy's, Integrated Services, Hocking Valley Motors, David White Services, Qdoba, C&G Cattle, and Parmar Stores. Cheer loud, cheer proud, go Bucks! Only on 97.3 WATH, your sports authority.
Hey, it's me. Well, you from the future. Let's talk budget. Gas prices are going up, you blew your budget buying groceries, and here comes your bill for car insurance. Now, that's one bill you can control when you choose Erie Insurance.
Do your future self a favor and ask about Rate Lock from Erie.
The only thing going down is the waistline on our jeans.
Your Erie agent is McFadden Insurance. Get a quote today at mcfadden-insurance.com.
Go to erieinsurance.com for company licensure and product details.
Calling all hunters and outdoor enthusiasts, it's time to gear up for your next adventure with our buy one, get two free sale on select items at the Rocky Outdoor Gear Store. That's right, 3 pairs of boots for the price of 1. Whether you're planning for the hunting season, need new hiking boots for the trails, or even a new pair of work boots, we've got you covered. Don't miss out. Stop and see us today at the Rocky Outdoor Gear Store. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Come get fully stocked up for any season at the Rocky Outdoor Gear Store.
Willis Advantage Property Solutions delivers dependable, full-service property maintenance you can trust. We specialize in asphalt repair, infrared patching, surface cleaning, parking lot striping, and powerful hydrojet drain cleaning, serving industrial, commercial, and residential customers across the region. From small fixes to large-scale projects, we get the job done right, on time, and on budget. Call now for your free consultation at 740-577-4574. Willis Advantage Property Solutions. We protect and maintain what matters.
Need a ride to your medical appointment? Medication ready for pickup? A.T. Hoy, LLC has you covered. We provide fast, safe, reliable transportation for medical recipients in Hocking, Ross, and Benton counties. And we're proud to announce we're serving Benton County veterans. We thank you for your service. A.T. Hoy is always looking to expand our crew. Apply online or drop anchor at one of these 3 locations today and grab an application. Call 740-596-0536 today to see if you qualify for free transportation. A.T. Hoy, charting a course for care.
Trying to find a durable new look for your retail office, house, garage, or new barn dominium? Higgins Steel Roofing and Siding has added 2 new profiles within the past year that would make great options. A heavier 26-gauge metal board and batten with several colors to choose from adds a fresh new look to any project regardless of size. Or come in and check out our new options for standing seam. If it's steel roofing and siding, it comes from Higgins. Located in Hillsboro and Jackson, Higgins Steel Roofing and Siding. Family owned and operated since 1958.
Looking for a bank that puts you first? At Farmers Bank, they've been helping neighbors grow for over a century with personal checking and savings, business loans, convenient online and mobile banking, and customer service that treats you like family. Whether you're planting roots or planning your future, Farmers Bank will help every step of the way. Stop by one of their local branches today and experience why Farmers Bank is your hometown bank since 1904. Member FDIC. Farmers Bank, growing with you.
The Uptown Clinic powered by Holzer is located at 5 North Court Street in Athens. Nurse practitioner Amy Ward and staff provide walk-in urgent care services, on-site lab testing, primary care services, and much more. If you're on your way to work, class, or back home and need care, stop by the Holzer Uptown Clinic, conveniently located for Ohio University students, staff, and families. That's the Holzer Uptown Clinic at 5 North Court Street. in Athens.
This is Football Friday Kickoff on Total Media Sports, presented by Swartz Collision Center.
Welcome back. You're listening to Football Friday Night. Eric Landrum, Ethan Sargent with you. A big shout out to our friends over at Slarks Automotive Services who help make our Friday nights possible and your Friday nights possible if you're tuning in to us around southeastern Ohio on one of our mini stations or listening around the world using the Total Media Radio app. If you don't have it, download it, take it where you go. Football Friday Nights doesn't end in the war room for everyone, Sarge. It ends in different places, and you can listen to us wherever you want to go. Back for another half an hour here. We've had an awesome night. We just wrapped up a little bit of talk regarding the playoffs, giving you a little bit of a preview. Things aren't out quite yet. Things aren't updated and released quite yet, so we've given you some of our thoughts.
We can always look ahead, of course. And I mean, look, when we come back on the air next week, and obviously when these final scores go out, and if you guys want to check this for yourself, it is super easy. I can let you guys know about this. Just look up Joe Eitel, Joeeitel. Should be the first result. And again, Joe does a phenomenal job of just getting all the results in, and they are accurate, right? And the OHSAA actually also this year has done a good job of tabulating and releasing the computer points on a weekly basis. They actually, Tim Streed will send out an email every Monday and get you the computer points to the media relations director for the OHSAA. So they're on top of that this year. Let's go down to Region 23 real quick. We'll go to 23, 24, 26, or 27 and 28 because those are the regions they're all the small school regions that we've got plenty of our teams in real contention for. We'll start out in 23 where Eastern loses again tonight to Wahama, right, where it's a tough loss. They were always kind of up against it, but now when you look at the rest of this schedule, right, they kind of have to win all three of the rest of their games, and that may not even be enough. Right? They've got Trimble next week, and what's a huge game, but if they can't beat Trimble, they're probably done if they don't beat Trimble. And then they've got, because they finished the season with Belpre and Southern. You're not going to get the L2s you need from those two schools. So even if they beat Trimble, they may still not be able to get in. Because remember, they had the game canceled against Saudeville. At least not that would have mattered all that much. Sure. But right, let's say they win out. Let's say they win out, so they'll lose to Wahama. They'll be at 6-3. I don't know if that's enough. I don't know. I hope so for my fans out in in Pomeroy County in Reedsville. Yeah. But I don't know if it's going to be quite enough for them. Fort Fry, they got another victory tonight. Cruised. They will be at 5-1. Again, this region is very top heavy. There are some really good schools in this region. You've got Colonel Crawford, you've got Grandview Heights, you've got Ridgewood, Mount Gilead, Toronto in there. I mean, there's a lot of 5-1s. There's a lot of 6-0s. This is going to be a tough region to come out of. And look, Fort Fry will line up against anybody and feel confident in getting a victory. So sure. I want to go to 24 because Chuck mentioned how Portsmouth West might be in position to make a good run. I think they are. This region, I'm just going to hold my right hand up and say, look, it's not very good. Yeah. I mean, look, Coldwater will be the favorites in this region, but it is a little bit of a down year for Coldwater. They actually haven't played Marion Local yet. Obviously, again, you always realize this. Them and Marion Local always play the most sold game in the Ohio high school regular season. That 50-50 number is typically over $20,000 on any given year, which is, again, agreed, wild. But their losses, right, they lost to Clinton Massey 14-7. They lost to Anna 14-7, right? They beat St. John's tonight pretty comfortably, but they end their season with New Bremen, Versailles, and Marion Local. That is a brutal last three games. Absolutely brutal. New Bremen's a direct competitor in their region. Or, excuse me, they're a region below them, as is Marion Local, and then Versailles is right above them. So, again, we'll see how they end up shaking out. If they can win one of those games, right, they might be the top seed just with those L2s. They currently lead the region in the level 2 points of 53.5. But looking at where Portsmouth West is right now, they're actually in 11th, right? They're going to get some help tonight, not just because of their win, right? Obviously, they don't get the help from Fairland, which doesn't help them, but they get some help from Waverly, right? And Waverly played Minford, right? So they were going to get help tonight one way or the other. And that's good for them, right?
Yeah.
And getting this win over Valley also gives them all Valley's points, which is huge. They need those. So, again, looking at the rest of the schedule, P-West, obviously the big one looms for them in Week 10 with Berg. But if they can beat Northwest and Oak Hill, and they can be at 6-3 heading into that matchup, even with a loss to Wheelersburg, they'll be in an okay place to make the postseason. I don't really see another team really. Huntington is there. They'll feel good about after tonight. They're going to be in the hunt for the postseason. The Huntsmen, Adina as well, even though they lost tonight. But again, I think Brunswick West got a shot to do something in this region. They could, especially if they continue, like Chuck said, to get better as the season goes on. Let's go to 27 real quick. So obviously Sims Valley is going to drop a little bit after tonight's performance. Obviously a tough one to Beaver Eastern. That would leave Hillsdale as the final unbeaten in this region. They got a big win tonight over Waynedale. They are pretty clearly your favorites, I think, in this region. It's going to take a monumental effort from somebody to slow them down. Waterford will move up. They got the win over Southern. It won't give them a ton of points, but it will keep them at 5-2 on the season. Trimble also got the win. They're also at 5-2. Again, Waterford and Trimble play, I believe, in 2 weeks. I believe that game is in week number 9. It is. So, again, that's a big game. I believe that is the Pure Rock 105 game of the week.
Ooh, okay.
So that'll be a big one in the TVC Hocking. It may well decide where that conference title ends up going as long as both teams take care of business next week. Obviously, Trimble a little bit tougher of a task with the Eastern Eagles.
Sure.
You got South Gallia in 8th spot. They're going to move up after tonight. Obviously, they got the big win, and they're going to get a lot of L2 points from some of those teams that they've played. Looking around the rest of this region, that's really it in terms of what we're looking at. And then Lickley, our last region, we're down in 28 here. Obviously, Marion Local is going to be a decent stretch ahead of the pack, but look at Notre Dame in there at number 3, and they're not going to falter after the win today. I mean, look, they're not going to get any level 2 points, but again, with what they've done, the Fisher Catholic win has given them a ton of level 2 points. They're Fisher Catholic's only loss, right? That's helping them out a big time. The South Gallia win's helping them out big time, and if they could beat both Eastern and Sims Valley, they've got a shot to be a top 2 seed in this region. So again, a lot to prove next week for that team. And I think what we'll do real quick after I wrap this up is we'll look at some of the big ones coming up in next week's slate.
Yeah.
Obviously, Eastern will also potentially move up into, it could be a top 4 matchup in Region 28 in this week's matchup between Notre Dame and Eastern. Beaver Eastern not quite getting the L2 points that Notre Dame is just because they haven't played, I think, quite as quality of an opponent, which is why, again, yeah, they were expected to beat Sims Valley. Notre Dame is not as simple. I'm just going to say that. This is going to be, I really think it's going to be a closer game.
Yeah.
I think that this is, look, by no means, again, like we said, until proven otherwise, Beaver Eastern, but Notre Dame is a different challenge this year. That offense, I mean, I'm just going to read you the points they've put up. How about, so they've gotten better every week, too. 26 in week 1, 23 in week 2, 34 in week 3, 35 in week 4, 45 in week 5, 56 last week. How about 70 this week?
Yeah.
So they just keep getting better.
They do.
I mean, look, if they keep going on this track, they're going to put up 80 next week. Not that any Beaver Eastern fan wants to hear that. And look, they'll have plenty to say about that. But
sure,
should be a great game. Great game. Historic site, historic stadium. Should be a whole lot of fun. Manchester, even at 5-1, currently on the outside looking in, just because, again, the L2s are just not there for the Greyhounds. We'll see how they get on tomorrow against Federal Hocking, but again, they're not going to get much help in that department in terms of the level 2 points. So we'll see how that all shakes out. Let's take a look again at some of these big matchups coming up in week number 8. We'll start out in the FAC. Jackson has a big one against Washington Courthouse. That's a big game. As both of those squads look to try and get near the top. Again, if Jackson wins this one, they'll feel pretty good about where they're at. Hillsborough takes on Chillicothe as well. The Cavaliers will be trying to keep their potential hopes at the FAC alive. I think they're in, they get their first conference win, and they're in business right now.
Yeah.
Are the Cavaliers. You've got Miami Trace taking on McLean as well. Miami Trace will be expected to win that game, even on the road. Let's go to the TVC. Mentioned this game just a second ago. Eastern Megs taking on Trimble. A big matchup here just because it's really important for Trimble to stay alive, because if they win this game, it pretty much sets up a TVC Hockey Super Bowl in week number 9 between them and Waterford. And look, Waterford, I think, will be favored in that game. I think Trimble, it's a young team. They've done a lot of growing throughout the season, but That's a huge game for Eastern and Trimble. Then, looking around the rest of the region, again, we'll talk about Beaver Eastern, Portsmouth Notre Dame in the last segment. In the SVC, I believe you've got Zane Trace Southeastern, Unioto Paint Valley. We were at that game last year. How the turntables on that.
Right.
And then you got Westfall Huntington. Intriguing little game, that one. Intriguing little game. Huntington's been solid this year. Both of those teams sitting above 500. Huntington at 4-3, Westfall at 5-2. I think both of those, it'll be a very, very key game for postseason seeding and whatnot. Will that one be? Fort Fry taking on Marietta, little Twin State League action over there. Warren takes on Point Pleasant as they open the Twin State League now. They do the last 3 weeks. They just bang them all out there at the end. Look, Galley Academy can try and get a win next week against Chesapeake. I think they'll probably try and feel encouraged after what they saw in this week's performance, even though they just came up short. Yeah. And then, of course, the big matchup, Beaver Eastern, Portsmouth Notre Dame, at a historic stadium, historic site. I just think it sets up so phenomenally.
It's going to be awesome.
You couldn't ask for much better. You really couldn't. I mean, 2 7-0 teams. Yeah, it's small school football. I don't care. I mean, these are two of the best offenses we've got. Expect points. Expect them in abundance. Expect 30-plus on both sides, I think, in my early estimations. I got to do a little bit. I'm going to be transparent. I got to do a little bit more research on Portsmouth Notre Dame. I think I will this week. I'm going to watch some film. We may even try to get Coach Coach Bolden, I believe, at Portsmouth Notre Dame. I'm going to double-check this because I think maybe I don't have it. But, again, they got a new head coach. I know because I know that he his name sounds very much like Bob Bolden, the Ohio women's basketball coach.
Yeah.
But we're going to get this up in just a sec so that I don't miss it. Just a second. But again.
But nonetheless, they've done a phenomenal job.
That's unbelievable job.
Yeah.
And then you think about, you don't see this very often, where a team's offense consistently has gotten better week to week.
Yeah.
That is not something that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So, I mean, looking at this, you've got Bob Boldman. That is the head coach. It's Bob Boldman. So very similar to Bob Boldman.
Yeah.
But Bob Boldman, he's done a great job. He's got some great assistants. Jason Coleman, William Shannon, Austin Vaughters, Rhett Hadsel. I believe their quarterback is, I think it is Ethan Kingery. If I remember correctly, I believe it is Ethan Kingery. I think he's the starter. He's their senior, number 8. Another guy who's got a great arm. Right, we saw what Beaver Eastern did to a guy with a great arm this week, so we'll see what happens. They've got some good weapons on the outside as well, from what I've seen. Some solid running backs. Bryce McGraw back there. Connor Estep is a solid receiver from what I have read. So again, they've got some talent. It's going to be a different type of test for Beaver Eastern this week, but I can't wait to dig into the film with this team. I can't wait to really, truly research them. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun, man. Things are shaping up to be awesome, not only as we get into Week 8, but as we peek our heads around the corner that is Week 9 and 10 into the postseason. Sarge, we're going to get to not our final break of the night. We'll have one more after this, but we're going to get into our last big segment of the night here in just a moment. Keep it right here. We'll be with you until midnight. You're listening to Football Friday Nights on Total Media Sports.
It seems like the cost of everything is on the rise, but Erie Insurance can help make sure your auto insurance premium isn't one of them. Avoid rate increases with Erie Rate Lock. Even if you have a claim, your rates won't go up until you change a car, driver, or address.
Your Erie agent is McFadden Insurance. Get a quote today at McFadden-insurance.com.
Erie Rate Lock is not available in all states. Other conditions and limitations at ErieInsurance.com. Go to ErieInsurance.com for company licensure and product details.
House hunting? Selling? Don't get sacked by stress. Howard Hanna Real Estate and the McNerlin Network team are your real estate MVPs in Jackson. They've got full playbook, mortgage, title, home warranty, insurance, and global marketing that scores big with buyers. No fumbles, no flags, just smooth moves to the end zone of home ownership. Call 740-702-6000. Let Howard Hanna Real Estate and the McNerlin Network team quarterback your next big win.
Craving good eats in Nelsonville? Head over to Nick's Station, home of Footlong Friday, where the footlongs bring the flavor all day long. And now introducing Western Burger Wednesday. Get a juicy Western burger and a medium drink for just $8.99. Then cool off with Nick's delicious ice cream treats. The perfect ending to any meal. They've extended their hours, so stop by Monday through Thursday until 10, Friday and Saturday until 11, and Sunday until 9. Nick's Station, fast and friendly with hometown flavor. Nick's is a proud supporter of area high school sports.
When it comes to glass, experience matters, and Pidcock Glass in Nelsonville has over 30 years of it. From windows and doors to custom glass projects, they can handle almost any job. Pidcock Glass is Southeast Ohio's premier service company to call if you're experiencing glass loss or damage. Whether it's your home, business, or special project, trust the experts who've been serving the community for decades. Let Pidcock Glass brighten your day. Call 740-753-4527 or visit pidcockglass.com today. Proud supporters of area high school athletics.
The Slark family has welcomed drivers through their body shop doors for many years. And now, with the addition of Slark's Tire and Service Center, formerly Jackson Tire, they continue to provide the same great experience, care, and quality you can count on. Our certified technicians bring experience and knowledge and provide fast, expert service with top quality brand tires and parts to keep your car running smoothly and road ready. Reliable, honest, and hassle-free. Visit Slark's Tire and Service at 66 East Broadway Street in Jackson. Your local tire and auto repair experts.
Looking for a home away from home for your furry friend? Welcome to Red Woof Inn, where tails wag and dreams come true. At Red Woof, we offer spacious play areas, cozy naps, and personalized care from our dedicated team. Whether your pup loves fetch or just snuggling, we've got it covered. Our facilities are top-notch and our staff are dog lovers through and through. From playtime adventures to treat-filled cuddle sessions, we ensure your pup has a blast. Give your dog a vacation they'll love at Red Woof Inn, located on Old Dixon Road in MacArthur. Call 740-649-8640 to book your fur baby stay while spots are still available.
This is Football Friday Kickoff on Total Media Sports, presented by Slark's Collision Center.
Welcome back. You're listening to Football Friday Nights, presented by Slark's Automotive Services. I'm Eric Landrum with you, bringing you the final happenings of Week 7 from the War Room in the Total Media Studios in Jackson. Let's go ahead and get to some final scores from around the area, then we'll update you on the conference rankings, and then we'll round up with our final thoughts after a quick break. Jackson takes down McLean this evening 48-6. Nice win for the Ironman in Alumni Stadium. Miami Trace on the road at Hillsboro picks up a nice win 49-6. Miami Trace over the Indians. Chillicothe picks up a road win in FAC play as well, 34-29. They take down the Washington Courthouse Blue Lions. Nice win for the Cavaliers. Wellston on the road is shut out by Nelsonville York, 55-0. The Rockets fall to the Buckeyes in Bucktown. Northwest picks up a nice win over the Vinton County Vikings, 43-22 in MacArthur. Alexander in Bidwell over the River Valley Raiders, 26-6. Corey Bean and his team move to 4-3 in conference play on the year. Athens over the Megs Marauders, 53-0. Trimble blanks Belpre on the road, 44-0. The Tomcats over the Golden Eagles. Waterford shuts out the Southern Tornadoes in Racine, 47-0. Wheelersburg over the Oak Hill Oaks in the Village, 52-8. Minford falls on the road in Tigertown to the Waverly Tigers, who pick up their first win of the season, 41-7 over the Falcons. Portsmouth West, 44. Valley, 20. That is a nice win for the Senators in conference play, and that a tough win in Lucasville. The Portsmouth West Senators play good football tonight. Zane Trace shut out by Unioto, 19-0. Two other shutouts from the SVC as well. Huntington on the road over Paint Valley, 36-0, and Piketon, 35-0 at home over the Southeastern Panthers. The final game in SVC play, Westfall gets a win at home over Adena, 28-14. Gaia Academy almost squeaks one out in Pedro against the Rock Hill Redmen, but they fall just short, 23-21. Rock Hill hangs on to win despite a last-second field goal effort from Gaia Academy that missed just wide. South Point takes down Chesapeake on the road, 41-18. Also in the OVC, Portsmouth takes down Fairland in Proctorville, 48-26. Portsmouth Notre Dame blanks Green, 70-0. Beaver Eastern picks up a huge win over unbeaten Sims Valley, 6. South Gallia beats Sciotoville East 54-8. The Rebels over the Tartans. Wahama picks up a win in Reedsville over Eastern Megs 27-10. Nice road win for the White Falcons, who moved to 5-0, playing ball across the border there. Nitro picks up a 56-13 win over Point Pleasant this evening. Kip Columbus falls to Coalgrove 40-26. Nice win for Coalgrove. This was my upset game of the evening, but Coalgrove outlasted Kip Columbus, who had the lead at the half in this game. Nice win for the Coalgrove Hornets. Hamilton Township over Circleville 49-35 in South Central Ohio there. 2 games tomorrow evening around the area. Federal Hawking at Manchester, 7 p.m. And Ironton travels to Uniontown, Pennsylvania for a 3:30 kickoff. You can listen to that one on 106.7 WIRO, The Eagle. Jason Filial, Kevin Richardson. They're going to be bringing you all of it. They're going to be talking everything Fighting Tigers football. Be sure to tune in to those two men. They do such a wonderful job painting the picture of, well, Fighting Tiger Nation football. It is a national brand at this point. We talk about it all the time on this show. Let's go ahead and get to some of the conference standings from around the area. We'll update you on those things real quick. Miami, Trace, and Jackson, both 2-2 in the FAC, shaping up to be a huge Week 9 showdown here in a couple of weeks. Chillicothe, Courthouse, both 1-1. Chillicothe in the 3rd spot right now after taking down Courthouse this evening, as we mentioned. And Hillsborough and McLean in the 5 and 6 spots, respectively, each 0-2 at the moment. Unioto in the SVC, currently leading the conference with a 3-0 record. Zane Trace in the 2 spot, ahead of Westfall with the head-to-head victory there. They're each 2-1. In the 4 spot is Adena with a 2-1 record, followed by Huntington at 1-2, Piketon at 1-2. They'll take on each other in Week 10. No tiebreaker yet in that one. And Southeastern and Paint Valley, each 0-3, bringing up the bottom of the conference, respectively. In the TVC Ohio, Nelsonville, York, and Athens, each 3-0. Going to be a fun Week 10 in Athens County. Alexander 1-2, Vinton County 1-2. Vinton County actually with the head-to-head victory over Alexander, to be in the 3rd spot in the conference right now. Megs 1-2. River Valley also 1-2 in the conference, and then Wellston at 0-3 in the 7th spot in the conference. In the Hawking division, Waterford and Trimble each 2-0 to start the year in conference play. Eastern falls to 1-1 in the conference. Belpre 0-1, Southern 0-2, and Federal Hawking 0-2. Or 0-1 as well, with an opportunity, 0-2, and they play tomorrow as well, non-conference game. SOC 1, Eastern, and Notre Dame, each 2-0 in the conference, shaping up to be a huge game next week. We plan to be there at Spartan Municipal Stadium in Portsmouth, history-rich stadium there. Going to be a lot of fun next Friday, Week 8 football Friday night. Sims Valley falls to 1-1 in the conference after the tough loss in Beaver this evening. South Gallia picks up a win this evening. They're 1-1 in the conference. In the 5 and 6 spots are Green and East, each 0-2. In the SOC2, Wheelersburg and Portsmouth, each 3-0 at the moment. In the 3 spot, Valley at 1-2, followed by Northwest at 1-2. And each other team 1-2 as well. Menford in the 5 spot, Oak Hill in the 6, and Waverly in the 7. All at 1-2 in the moment. Rounding out the conference standings with the OVC, the conference is led by Coalgrove at the moment, who is 3-0 in conference play. Rock Hill at 2-1, hanging on to the win tonight. Tough one over Gallia Academy. Portsmouth at 2-2 in the conference. Fairland is 2-1 in conference play. Gallia Academy 1-3. South Point also 2-1 in the conference, pushing them ahead of Gallia Academy. So South Point 5, Gallia Academy 6, followed by Chesapeake to round out the Ohio Valley Conference. We are going to get to our final break of the evening. Final thoughts when we return. You're listening to Football Friday Nights, brought to you by Slark's Automotive Services.
Mom, my teacher said some kids don't get new shoes when school starts.
That's why Southern Ohio Soles is so important, honey. They make sure that underprivileged kids start the year with shoes that fit and feel good.
So, if people give money, more kids can have shoes for school?
Exactly. Every dollar helps a child walk into class with pride, ready to learn and ready to thrive.
Can I help too?
Everyone can. Visit www.southernohiosouls.com now and help a kid start school confident and strong.
Need new tires? Rick's Tire and Auto has you covered. Looking for top-notch auto service? Rick's Tire and Auto has expertise. And now they're bringing their A-game to Athens County. Owned by Rick Dieter, formerly of Huddle Tire in Athens. Rick's Tire and Auto Service is located at 1353 East Canal Street in Nelsonville. Right off the first Nelsonville exit on 33 West. Stop in for a quick tire change or oil change or schedule an appointment by calling 220-218-4169. At Rick's Tire and Auto, we have your vehicle covered.
Calling all hunters and outdoor enthusiasts, it's time to gear up for your next adventure with our buy one, get two free sale on select items at the Rocky Outdoor Gear Store. That's right, 3 pairs of boots for the price of 1. Whether you're planning for the hunting season, need new hiking boots for the trails, or even a new pair of work boots, we've got you covered. Don't miss out. Stop and see us today at the Rocky Outdoor Gear Store. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Come get fully stocked up for any season at the Rocky Outdoor Gear Store.
If you want to make your smartphone even smarter, get our new mobile banking app. You can check deposits and deposit checks. It even gives you nearby ATM locations. Best part is, the money stays right here in this area. It's a better way to bank. Ohio Valley Bank, a better way to bank. Member FDIC. Visit us online at ovbc.com.
Are you tired of dealing with malfunctioning garage doors? Look no further than True Track Garage Doors in Londonderry. Our team of experienced technicians specialize in garage door repairs, installation, and maintenance services. Whether you need a simple repair or a brand new garage door installation, we've got you covered. At True Track Garage Doors, we prioritize customer satisfaction and ensure that your garage door is functioning properly and safely. Contact us today at 740-596-1000 to schedule an appointment or request a free estimate. Call True Track to get you back on track.
Willis Advantage Property Solutions delivers dependable, full-service property maintenance you can trust. We specialize in asphalt repair, infrared patching, surface cleaning, parking lot striping, and powerful hydrojet drain cleaning, serving industrial, commercial, and residential customers across the region. From small fixes to large-scale projects, we get the job done right, on time, and on budget. Call now for your free consultation at 740-577-4574. Willis Advantage Property Solutions. We protect and maintain what matters.
Back to more of Football Friday Kickoff on Total Media Sports, presented by Slarks Collision Center.
Welcome back to Final Thoughts of Total Media's Football Friday Nights, brought to you by Slarks Automotive Services. I'm Eric Landrum from the War Room, and I got a few things to say to wrap up Week 7. A few things. First of all, Braden Adkins, Portsmouth West, you, my friend, 99-yard kickoff, 4 catches, 143, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. You're a dog, my friend. Congratulations on a stellar evening. Just down the road in Portsmouth, how about Fernando Pocious? He had himself 200-plus yards and 5 touchdowns. Congratulations to you, my friend, and the Beaver Eastern Eagles. You're flying high tonight. That defense is legit, and we'll see it next week from Spartan Municipal Stadium. For Week 7, Football Friday Nights, I'm Eric Landrum. We will see you in Week 8 in Portsmouth. Eagles and Titans. See you in a week.
This has been Football Friday Night from the Total Media Sports Network, presented by Slarks Collision Center. Tonight's show has been welcomed by
Holzer Health System, Howard Hanna, McMillan Network, AT Hoy Transport, Higgins Steel Roofing, Rocky Outdoor Gear Store, Nick Station, Steak and Shake, True Track Garage Doors, McFadden Insurance, Ohio Valley Bank, Hocking College, Area Agency on Aging District 7, Willis Advantage Property Solutions, Hidcock Glass, and Southern Ohio Souls.
Make sure to join us before and after your high school football game every Friday night. This has been a production of the Total Media Sports Network. All rights reserved.
Southeast Ohio's sports leader, 970 AM and 97.3 FM. The Game, WATH Athens, a Total Media Group station.
BYU leads 21-10 against West Virginia with 2 minutes left in the first half. 2 minutes to go at San Diego State in the first half. Aztecs ahead 21-7 over Colorado State, which is driving. Early third quarter on FS1, San Jose State leads New Mexico 21-17. Already victories for South Florida and Western Kentucky. Among the Saturday games, on Fox TV Saturday, Wisconsin at Michigan. Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson is out this weekend with a hamstring injury. Wide receiver Terry McLaurin of Washington out with a quad injury. His quarterback Jaden Daniels does return to play at the Chargers Sunday. There was Game 1 of the WNBA Finals at Las Vegas this evening. Aces held on to edge Phoenix 89-86. Asia Wilson 21 points. The Texas Rangers hired Skip Schumacher as manager. He was an advisor for the team. I'm Steve DeSager.
Get ready for this! Depart your frequency, Roger. This is the Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon.
Look at the money that I'm making on this.
You know where this is going, Jason Smith and Mike Harmon.
You can make fun of it if you want.
You're listening to the Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon.
Lights out. That's what this is.
And here they are.
What's going on?
Live from the Fox Sports Radio studios. Here's Jason Smith. And sitting in for Mike Harmon, Steve DeSager.
Greetings, welcome inside Hour 3, the Jason Smith Show with special delivery. Steve DeSager in for Mike Harmon. Check out our brand new YouTube channel for the show. Go to youtube.com/@JasonSmithShow, or if you're already within YouTube, just search Jason Smith Show. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. Don't stop there. Hit that thumbs up icon. Comment away. Go check out our brand new YouTube channel. Again, just search Jason Smith Show and subscribe. So we take a look at the big weekend in college football with Pete Futak coming up in about 20 minutes. I'm telling you, Arch Manning, if he doesn't come through this week, Steve-O, I mean, that's it, man. Like it's like all of college football is that, hey, because you're Arch Manning, right? You're royalty.
It's the name for starters, not just that he was a great recruit.
Yeah, we're going to give you 3 weeks to get it going, right? We're going to lay off you after this Ohio State game. We're going to give you 3. We invested a lot of time and attention into you, but we're going to give you these 3 weeks because no one's going to care. But when that Florida game comes up beginning of October, you got to show us something. You really got to show it. Because now I'm saying to myself, right now, I would say, oh, he's absolutely coming back to Texas next year. Absolutely, because you've seen so many of the quarterbacks that have bypassed him already. You're talking about Lenora Sellers and Garrett Nussmeier at the top of the draft. Even Mateer, although the injury to Mateer might hold him back a little bit.
Ironically, Oklahoma against Texas in a week.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, and Mateer will know the number, right? He'll know. You want to talk about the number. Sorry, that's an August joke. But like you've seen, these guys have already bypassed him. We're not talking about Arch Manning, overall number 1 pick, and what we would normally be saying about him now. So when Archie Manning said in the he'll be going back next year. We'll be going back next year. Like you wonder. Was he thinking this was going to happen? Did he know? Was he? But clearly, right now, I would say, 100%. And if he goes back to Texas, that's bad for him, right? It's bad for him going back to Texas because of the hype and where we thought he was going to be. But man, I'll tell you, he's got to come through tomorrow, man. Like this is it for Arch Manning.
And at the moment, Texas is ranked in the top 10. Oklahoma is ranked in the top 10. Now, Oklahoma's tune-up for the Texas game the next weekend is hosting Kent State tomorrow afternoon. So there's that. Texas plays a conference game at Florida tomorrow afternoon. But as we've discussed, Florida really should be winless this year. I'm not saying that Texas is automatically going to roll. I don't think we've even thought that. But it is a conference game on the road, and you always have to be wary of those.
Hey, look, they've played these other top 10 teams somewhat close, right? Like LSU was a close game. Miami was close-ish.
Yes, it was.
Miami last week, look, and I'll tell you this
They scored a couple
right?
times late, Miami.
I am all in on Miami going unbeaten at this point, right? They are better than they were in 2024. The offensive line is making Carson Beck into a Heisman finalist. This is the best Miami team in well over a decade. Like,
so you're already saying Miami's winning at Florida State tomorrow night.
Oh yeah. Florida State is kind of back. They're not as back as we thought they were when they beat Alabama, but this Miami team, they are just. Carson Beck is the perfect guy to slide in here. Coming off the Cam Ward year where he's the number 1 pick in the draft, but it was disappointing at the end. They get blown out by Syracuse. They don't make it into the playoff.
But, getting Carson Beck, a guy who's been through it, who has not only been able to put points on the board, dynamic, being a leader, been through the big games. This was a perfect segue to get from what do we do after Cam Ward? Here they are now, and this team is absolutely loaded. Like I at the end of the season, it's hard for me to find a loss for them in the ACC at this point.
Well, they do have to play at SMU, and remember, even with Cam Ward, they had that late Saturday night game at Cal, conference game. Now that's considerably more travel than SMU, but it's more travel than you're used to in that league with these teams, Cal, Stanford, and SMU joining the conference. So there might be something a little crazy, and we don't know what time that. Of course, it's college football. We don't know what time of day that game will be. What if it's a late night game and crazy things happen at SMU? And they're overlooking.
We're going to screw Miami and put them on late at night. What should we do to them? It's almost like
they had the Heisman winner on at 10:45 in the evening a year ago in one of these situations, and he almost lost.
It's almost like what college football used to do to USC in the heyday, right? When in the aughts, when they first became the dynasty, when it was Carson Palmer into Matt Leinart and all this stuff, they would always put USC on a Thursday night, either at Oregon or at Oregon State or at Washington State, and the place was absolutely bananas.
Yep.
And they would wind up in a tough game that they had probably about a 50% win percentage on it. Boy, look at this. They lose this game.
Like Reggie Bush had better run this back, or else Mark Sanchez lost, John David Booty lost. Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Like they would do that to USC all the time. We're going to give you a Thursday night game at Washington State, at Oregon State, and they would lose. And it would be, what a huge dent in their national championship plans.
But just
they would do that to USC all the time.
Just because you have the talent on your team, the amount of late night starts that Travis Hunter had, or I mentioned Cam Ward as well. This does happen, and then screwy things can happen the more college football evolves, and that includes trips that people aren't used to. I mean, let's state the obvious. There are teams, even the NFC East is a good example, that genuinely don't travel much at all for an entire season. And then there's the Seahawks or the Chargers or the Niners that do nothing but travel back and forth, up and down, all over, and sometimes internationally. It doesn't get talked about enough. It's not at all an even playing field as far as the geography for some of the teams, but that's just what you sign up for.
Yeah, no, those are the teams, like, when you see the movie Up in the Air, and, like, Clooney is such a master at traveling, like, they make a move through the airport just like, it's so smooth, but, like, Anna Kendrick and everybody else is getting stopped, and here they're dropping things, like, those are the teams, like, all the teams that traveled, like, the Niners, everything. Yeah, we're all good. Yeah, we did. This is all hat to us. We've done that. We're Clooney and Up in the Air. Everybody else is Anna Kendrick.
So as far as travel for Miami, yes, it's the long travel to Florida State for the Saturday night game, but they are going to have to travel to SMU. And aside from that, they don't have a tough road game on the entire schedule of 2025.
Yeah. So I'm all in on Miami going unbeaten. Now, you mentioned travel. Hell yeah, we'll have more college football coming up in a few minutes. But
so we're going to talk about the Jets?
Big football. I said college football. I didn't say semi-pro football. I said college football.
When you said talking about travel, I thought you were going back to the Lakers exhibition tonight. That's all it's been.
Too soon, Steve.
One of the big stories of the day, look, in the NFL, one quarterback coming back, one quarterback out. Lamar Jackson out for the Ravens, but the Commanders are getting Jaden Daniels back for their game against the Chargers. And it's a huge deal. Look, the Commanders were able to survive for the last couple of weeks without Jaden Daniels, and that's great. Sitting at 2-2, they're absolutely fine. The Chargers are 3-1. I picked them to go to the AFC Championship game. Disappointing loss last week in New York, but they still start out 3-1. It's a game on the East Coast at 1:00, and look, those West Coast teams never travel. Not an excuse, but
West Coast at 1 Pacific.
West Coast teams, yeah. It's I've seen this. I've seen this overall. It's not an excuse, but I've seen it so many times. The Chargers weren't nearly as sharp as it needed to be, but this game, this tells me, like, you want to talk a couple of games here to spotlight. The one concern I have about the Chargers, right, because this loss to the Giants, not that big a deal, right, but how they lost, because what worries me so much is that Jim Harbaugh has built this team from the offensive line out, and you're seeing all the effects of this. Amari and Hampton, they have not missed Najee Harris. He's been everything they expect him to be since they drafted him. Justin Herbert playing at a Pro Bowl, all-pro caliber level the first month of the season. But now you had the big injury to Slater. Now Alt is hurt, and you saw last week the Giants' defensive line was able to run the game because the Giants' defensive line is really good, right?
And we don't know yet if guard Mekhi Becton is back from concussion. It might be three linemen out for the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, him missing, like he went from Jets bust to Super Bowl champion, and now he's rewriting his legacy in the NFL. But that's the one thing that really concerns me about the chart. The only question I have, everything else is good. Their defense is great. They have all the weapons they need. Quentin Johnson is turning into a star. You could throw the football a little more to Ladd McConkey. Don't be afraid, Justin Herbert. Throw the ball to Ladd McConkey a little bit more. But that's the only thing that can derail their season, is if suddenly, offensive line-wise, they're banged up, because as you've seen, you can cover a little bit on the offensive line. You get an injury or so, but once you get into 2 and 3 injuries, no team can do it, right? They missed Slater, didn't matter, right? Slater, as good as he is, look how well they were still able to play. But now you're into another offensive lineman potentially too, and you saw what happened to the Chargers last week. That's my only concern about them this year, is can their offensive line stay up and stay healthy? If it is, Chargers are going to roll. If not, boy, every week is going to be like the Giants last week.
The good news for the Chargers is generally on the offense, they have more weapons this year. And also now they're playing a Washington Commanders defense that's the worst in the league so far at allowing big plays, chunk yardage. So the Chargers have a potential of feasting on that in their home game against Washington this Sunday. But with the quarterback Daniels coming back, and more importantly to me,